All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the live well this Thursday night here. You know what? I got such a bad habit of saying at Fish, North Georgia, but at the Live Well podcast. So appreciate you guys joining us tonight. See a few of you already jumping in the comments. Hanks, I will bring you in here in a second. We got a great show for you guys tonight. We got the one and only Mikey Balzz in the house with us. You can see him down there giving you the salute.
And Bog, little feature of Bog down there.
Bog, what the hell he's getting into? He's getting into something, dude.
Hey, listen, we love it. So, guys, hey, listen, we're going to have a great time learning a little bit more about who Mikey is. If you don't already know, you should already know. But if you don't, we're going to talk about that and bring your fishing questions. All right. We're going to try to squeeze him from some juice because we all want to catch more fish, right? That's what we're going to try to do tonight. Got Father Time in the house with us right there. Old Clint Bartlett, superstar down there. And did Hanks pop in real quick? There he is. Let me pull. I don't even want to bring this guy on.
Pull up that
right
stash.
here. I mean, sheesh. There we go.
Look at that thing.
Look, let's see. Did I hit that button again? Let me see. What do we do?
There
we go.
Dude.
It keeps kicking off.
It's the stash.
Is that him? Look, like I keep hitting him that he's on, and then okay. Let's try this one more time. Let's try it one more time. Hanks, don't go nowhere this time, dude. There we go.
Stick around.
There he is. He's trying to hide the stash, right?
Yeah.
You can't hide that.
Listen, I got so many bad jokes I could say that I would get in trouble if I did.
Start firing.
But anyway, we got Ryan Hanks in the house too tonight. So guys, we got a full house, full deck. You guys bring it on. Let's talk some fishing. Mikey, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm great, man. We're going to the weekend. It's gonna rain 2 inches and blow out the lake. I'm ecstatic, bro.
Yeah, I bet. We talked about that on our lunch podcast today about the weather coming in. How do you feel about that? I mean, when you know you're going to get just a shit ton of rain and a lot of wind, you staying at home, you going out in it?
No, I won't be out in it. One of the things, like, I've kind of become a fair weather fishing guy, like, because I'm always shooting video, because I work a regular job and then I do the YouTube thing. So if I'm on the water, I have to be getting, like, some value out of the time. So I got to be capturing stuff. And the rain is really an inhibitor. I don't mind the wind so much because they tend to bite when it blows, right? But the rain, it makes it impossible, man.
I get it 100%. You know, what would you consider your home lake? Is it over there on G? It's
probably Gunnersville at this point. I mean, I do pop around North Alabama, but yeah, I would say Gunnersville probably.
There you go. Hey, Patricia wants to know. This is for you, Ryan. Read this comment right.
Are you single?
No, hitching a ride or
hitching a ride.
Yeah, I know.
The mustache is
getting out of control. It's
belly.
going soon. I'm growing back.
Mustache
beard
rides
with all the gray in it. It's going soon. I'm about over it.
We let him on from time to time there, Mikey. So, hey guys, exclamation! What's up, Mikey?
Silverpunk's voice texting again.
I like that though. That's good.
Well, you know what? I should have paid attention to that. I just read things off. Well, okay, let's just jump right into it. How's the fishing been over there in Alabama here lately?
You know what? It's been good. It's gotten a little slow. Like you guys are probably seeing it too. Like we're having this like Indian summer in December and January kind of deal, dude. And I'm seeing fish like they're kind of spread out, right? So like I'm catching fish with like red eyes in like 1.5 foot of water in some places where they're like going up to bed. And I'm like, dude, I got news for you. That ain't gonna last, right?
Right.
But it really has spread things out and it makes it more difficult. But Gunnersville is such a good fishery where there's so many fish, like guys are catching them deep. They're catching them shallow. I just feel like it's a little harder than it was last year. We had more consistent cold. The weather set up better. There were less guys on the lake. I would be 100% honest.
Right.
It's going to be really interesting to see what these MLF guys, the BVT is going to be out here in like, what is it? Like a week and a half. Bro, like it's going to be a great example of what guys do in adverse conditions. It hasn't been cold. It's going to rain 2 inches. Then it's going to get real cold. It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys operate out here.
Yeah, 100%. I don't even know why we got Mikey Balzz on here. Everybody just wants to say hey to Ryan Hanks.
I don't know why. Ryan's my idol.
I don't know why we were messing with Mikey.
Just bump me, dude. I'll go eat dinner. It's cool.
Yeah, okay. No, listen, we'll kick Ryan's ass off. But listen, hey, I wanted to ask you this because you were talking about going out in video and you wanted to get some. You've got to make it worth your time. How did you get started making fishing content?
Bro, I was just like a dirtbag kid, right? Like in college, and I had a video camera. This is how like dated I am. Like Father Time might remember this actually. So I had a camera that had like a mini DV cassette in it, and we had gotten it because I went to Central America and romped around like a hippie for a while, and I got really into video because at that point this was probably like 2008, 2009, 2007. Like it was really inaccessible from a consumer standpoint, right? Like everything was super polished. It was Roland Martin on TV, expensive Hank Parker shows. And all this technology started coming forth where us guys could just like grab a camera and go out and film. And I'm like, dude, what better way? I hate writing like fishing logs and fishing journals. Like, what better way to capture exactly what's happening when I'm out there than running a camera, right? So I started playing around with that and throwing it in the back of the boat when I'd go and rent this boat at University of Florida, man. And it just turned out that like basically they had giants like on these little lakes where they had boat rentals for students. And I started running the tripod and like capturing it. And at first it was very much an informational project, right? Like I wanted to see dates. I wanted to see how I caught them because we misremember things, right? Like you're like, oh, dude, I flipped it in and caught them. Well, dude, you were yo-yoing that thing for like 4 minutes, right? Like you don't remember because it's the heat of the moment. And I just started capturing this stuff. And then YouTube was kind of coming around. I actually started putting stuff up on Google Video before Google actually bought YouTube, dude. So it was like 2009. And I had fun with it. Like at first, and it still is, it's a passion project, but it was really kind of something for myself and using kind of these new technologies, which I was into. And my hope was, and it was very like puristic, is I'm like, dude, I don't know a bunch. I didn't really have someone who taught me how to fish when I was a kid and that. So if I put this stuff up, maybe somebody else will put some other stuff up. And by the time we get done, there's all these guys that have all this stuff up. We can all look at like each other's stuff and be like, I need to learn that. Or that's interesting, that guy. And it kind of, what the internet was meant to be instead of just porn, right? Like,
right.
I
don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
Mikey, do you remember your first publicly posted video?
I don't actually. I should
How to
go
tie
back.
a snell knot?
Oh, that's not my first, dude. But
It's not?
that's actually, I had stuff up before that, man. But
Well,
yeah, I did that one.
In your bio, it says that's your first.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. Because so you know why I know that's not right? I shot that.
Well, you would know.
So I rented an apartment in Fort Lauderdale, dude, when I moved down there, and it was like the back of this lady's house. It was this like hovel. She was super nice, but it was in like little Jamaica town, dude, in the middle of Fort Lauderdale. And I shot that like in the back apartment in the room. And I had actually started shooting stuff when I was up at Gainesville at University of Florida, which was years before that, man. So I know that's not the first one, but I got a lot from way, way back. It's kind of creepy, dude.
You know what's funny is we think YouTube and all that, we think very recent. When he's talking about 2008, 2009, I know that wasn't that long ago, but it seems like forever in a damn day.
And so much has changed, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's really evolved, and it's such a different dynamic. It's a different audience, right? Like it's really a different environment out there. And there's negatives and positives, right? We could sit here and piss and moan about all the bad stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff that's come from it too, like this podcast, right? Like you guys won't be doing this shit if like we were 2005, right? The technology would be too expensive. Accessibility would be inhibited, like it's kind of cool where we're at.
If I'm being honest, I didn't even know what the hell a podcast was. True story. Everybody knows that. My partner at the time, he said, "You talk really good. You listen to podcasts." I swear to you, I looked at him like, "What the hell's a podcast?" I had no clue what that was all about and all that. But it's still pretty cool that you just kind of took it upon yourself, for the reasons that you started it, kind of learn and teach. I would be lazy too. The guys that write everything down in logs and all that, man, they're kind of like kayak guys. They're just off-centered a little bit to do that. Oh, kayak guys know I love them, but they're my special friends. That's what I say like that. So from then to now, though, you've seen all kinds of changes, and you put out a ton of content.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of things that you think's a lot better, and then give me a couple of things that you think's really worse. It was better back in the day.
One thing that I always enjoyed, and this is kind of the old school guy in me, is I enjoyed the fishing videos. my dream, like when I started doing this and I kind of evolved, was I want to make the most artsy, epic, like fishing cool video ever. Like I was really big into snowboarding. I was pretty decent at it back in the day. So I was always into skate videos, snowboard videos. And I looked at that as kind of a format and a sort of like this hype reel, right? Like hook sets, big fish thrashing, the beauty of like everything that's around us, that experience, and like making something like that. And to be honest with you, if I made something like that right now, it would get no views. It would shit the bed completely. I would feel pretty good about it, but like it would just go nowhere from a functional standpoint, right? So I guess I'm a little sad about that. But at the same time, what's interesting is evolution. Like if you don't go with it, it'll leave you behind. So you can learn things in the process, even if you actually don't want to. And it puts you in different and new places, and you got to kind of accommodate that. And what's interesting to me is my goal originally, like I said, like reading Bassmaster magazine, right? They're talking about shad. I grew up in Wisconsin. We don't got no shad in Wisconsin. Like there's no applicability to what they're saying. Plus, like a lot of this stuff was either generalities or said from a certain perspective, kind of like lying in ways, the accessibility of what like specific niche content that applies to you is so available right now. Like there's so much information, there's so much access. And that also has a caveat though. There's a lot of bullshit, right? So there's a lot of like fluff, there's a lot of lying, there's so that you have to be almost like a more critical viewer now than at any time. But at the same time, that's also cool though, because this content, a lot of guys, especially, like Father Time, he probably bitches about the kids and stuff, right?
He does.
The fact is like these kids are more equipped to analyze and call bullshit or call like, hey, that's fake news. That's a lie because of all this content. Now, some people don't, it is what it is. There's always going to be those people that just accept whatever's getting thrown at them. But we're in a very dynamic point where there's saturation. There's a lot of content. But if you're willing to dive in, do research, like, dude, you can learn and see so much and experience so many fisheries, baits. Like Ryan's taught me a ton, dude. Like I'd never know Ryan if it weren't for YouTube. He showed me these sneak rigs that I've absolutely crushed him on. And dude, it would never happen if it weren't for YouTube and like this newfound accessibility that we have.
Yeah. And that's why these youngsters are so good these days. That's one of the reasons.
Hell yeah.
It's not the forward facing sonar.
Nope.
Hey, listen, that's a good tool, but it's all the information, and they can do exactly what you were talking about. It doesn't take them long to figure out what's legit, what's crap, and all
the
that.
speed at which information's processed.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the way we learn has changed completely different. Think about textbooks, encyclopedias, and all that stuff versus ChatGPT now. Like like I can't imagine going back through kindergarten, grade school, college. I can't imagine redoing all that stuff again. And I'm still young. I'm 27 years old, and I can't imagine going back. So it's like, it's crazy how much it has evolved, but we just keep like, it's gonna, like, what's going to happen 10 years from now? Like we're going to be looking back at this and be like, dude, ChatGPT is so old. Like, it's so crazy.
I know
how that's changed.
It's changing. And Clint, because Clint is a content creator. I mean, that's your job, you would say, so to speak. So you've seen somebody like Mikey doing it for a long time. So, you've watched all these different guys doing it and all that. Kind of, chime in as to what he said as far as like being able to tell the legit guys from those that are just putting out crap.
So the biggest thing, I think, especially with the early content creators like Mikey, like these other guys that were very early in it, they started doing it because they wanted to tell the story, right? They wanted to capture the story of, this is me going out and fishing, or maybe I want to teach, maybe I want to educate. Like, you've done a little bit of everything. You made fishing look cool, right? Like the fishing hype music videos, hook sets, all the fun stuff, like making fishing look cool. And then it's kind of evolved, like I would say the past 5 years, all of making fishing look cool almost looks too cool to where it's not as real, not as authentic. How do we dig deep and find that authenticity again? How do we know if this pro's lying to us or that he didn't catch them on that sponsored bait? How do we know, like we start to question things like he was talking about, like you start to question, is this happening? Is this real? And then the real stuff started coming out. Like, people are going live bass fishing doesn't lie. And then like being able to have a guy sit down and talk about his day, talk about, this is how I was catching them. And then you go prove the concept in the YouTube video of like, hey guys, I'm going to show you a couple sneaky rigs. This is how I rig this, this, and this. Well, that's great. But if you show a sneaky rig and then you go show catching a bunch of fish on Gunnersville on it, then boom, that's a conversion. That's going to take that customer to be like, okay, I now have the confidence because I just watched this guy take this rig, go out, fish it on a lake that I know, or I know that's like my lake. It's like a herring lake. It's like a grass lake. It's like a TVA lake. And I'm going to go apply that on my lake and I'm going to go catch more fish. They do that one time, then that's boom, positive reinforcement. They're going to start doing that to every YouTube video they watch. If I want to go watch a Mikey video and be like, okay, I know nothing about flipping grass, and then I watch him set the hook a couple of times, I'm like, I need to know how to flip grass. Like that looks like so much fun. Or I remember one of the videos you had, I can't remember how long ago now, but like deep cranking a 10XD. I was like, this is sick.
That was so much
like
fun.
that was dumb. You're catching
bulldoze in that joker,
yes.
and they would just stop it. Like
and I was able to get a bite like that this summer with spotted bass, and it was a
that's so
catching on a big.
Well, and that's
like
what's cool too.
Plug.
Like the creative process it's not just creating the video, right? Or figuring out like Ryan figuring out these cool like sneak rigs. Like it's a transitory process, right? Like you have your concept, you make the video, so you have these two creative positions, then the video goes to the audience and people watch it, and then they take it and modify it and process it and reprocess it and vary it, and like you get all these. That's one of the difficult parts. You have all these outcomes, right? There's so much out there that it is hard to stream through it, but in the end I think the process that's happening is super positive, right? There's a lot of like creation, there's a lot of new thinking, there's variation, there's different perspectives flooding in and grabbing and doing things, and that's what to me is just so rad.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I have customers like will see something like the sneak rig, and then they'll message me back and be like, but have you thought about doing it like this?
Exactly.
Or making one switch up, and I'm like, that's even better.
Yep.
And that's what I always encourage people is like, be very open-minded with what you're doing. Like, take this and run with it and make it work for you, you know? And
Absolutely.
I think that's really cool.
All right. I figured it was going to come sooner or later. It's coming sooner than I thought. But Mikey, let's go ahead and talk about the sneak rig. Coleman Jones Fishing wants to know. He's here for the sneak rig. So let's spend some time. Let's talk about the sneak rig.
So we can't talk about sneak rig.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll go to the next one here.
The sneak rig's kind of interesting. It actually was sort of the start of me and Ryan kind of being friends and knowing each other. He like reached out to me. We have some mutual friends like at Lanier and that, and we sort of got connected through
Andrew Full
Lab. Yeah,
Andy Full.
Yeah. He's like, dude, you got to talk to Ryan. So we got on the phone. We were chatting. I actually remember where I was at. I was standing outside of Piggly Wiggly waiting for the girl to run in and come out, dude. And me and Ryan were on the phone. And he's like, dude, you got to try this. Check this out. And so he kind of like laid it out to me. Basically, the concept is very simple, but the function is kind of how it just really crushes them. And it's so unique. So you take this little Prodigy swim bait, right? It's a little finesse swim bait, like a Kitech, like just a small downsized swim bait. And the trick with the Prodigy is it has this little kind of like hole in the chest, right? Mm-hmm. And normally there's a rattle in there, and that's how it comes. And Ryan's like, dude, take this bait, and then what you're going to do is pop that rattle out, take a 16th ounce nail weight. If you use the bigger Prodigy, I think it was like, was it the 4-inch, Ryan? Yeah. You could use a 330.
That's the one I throw a lot. Yeah, the 4-inch.
So then you just nose hook it. And that's where kind of the relation to some of the finesse swim baits out there kind of stops, because you really can't do that with a Kitech. You can't do it with these ultra soft variations because they tear up too easily. So the Prodigy, you can go and you nose hook it, and you have this super lightweight swim bait. And at the time, like, this was kind of pre-forward facing when he taught it to me. So I was super into tight lining, you know, all these small swim bait presentations. So it was a nice variation on that. And what you end up with is this really natural, light, kind of flowing bait. It's not the easiest to cast, but they absolutely annihilate it. And I took it out to Smith Lake over here by me, which is one of those clear Highland impoundments, lots of spotted bass, some largemouth mixed in, but super clear, right? And you would just reel it. And, you know, as I get older, like I've caught, like, I'm not being flashy, but I've caught a lot of big fish in my life, right? And like, that's cool, and I enjoy that. I moved to Alabama, and I'm not that good up here, so I'm always like learning, and I'm really kind of at the beginning. I'm not as good as a lot of these guys, so bites matter, right? learning and figuring out via getting bites, telling you that information is really important. And what was so cool about that rig is, dude, you would catch everything. Like I'd catch an 8-inch spot. I'd catch a 4-pound spot. I'd catch a 3-pound largemouth. I'd catch a 12-inch spot. Like they all eat it and they'd come from afar. And dude, I'd go down a bank behind somebody and dude, I'd watch them maybe catch 1 or 2. I'd catch like 10, 15 fish behind them on this thing. And it was just so ridiculous how they would respond to just this slight rigging variation. And it's one of Ryan's principles. It's all about like rigging and taking something that's a concept that we know works, right? Like a small finesse swim bait, but then reimagining how you're presenting it and putting it out there. And in doing so, it changes the whole sort of like body of what you're doing. And it like the outcome can be completely like exponentially different. And that's exactly what happened. It was so sick, man.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's just because they're not conditioned to it, and I think they do get conditioned to a lot of things, right? There's a video with Mikey where he gets, I bring this one up, fishing for smallmouth, and he gets cut off. But yeah, you could tell
that
him, like,
joker freaking cut me off. Yeah,
he got cut off by a guy with live bait, and then when they didn't catch anything, and then Mikey went right there and caught one on front of him on a sneaker.
Caught a 4-pounder practically under their boat, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like it was great, dude.
I love it. Hey, what are you throwing what are you throwing that on? Your rod, reel, your line, and all that?
So Ryan recommended you need to stay pretty light because it's not delicate, but it's light to throw. Right now, what I've been using is a 7.4 medium light. It's a Halo HFX, and then I run just like 12-pound X12 braid, Ryan's braid, because it's super limp, right? And it's all about hedging castability because it is a light bait, so you have to kind of get it out there, and that castability of that X12 really helps. And then I'll run like an 8-pound leader, or if I'm doing that little bit bigger one, or maybe I'm skipping docks. That's one of the cool things.
That's the best thing. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Is you can throw it around cover, and especially with like floating docks or when your water column is up in the water, it's super functional, dude. But you go with a little heavier, maybe 12-pound if you're on like really thick stuff with big fish. But dude, that light rod, and dude, the bite's awesome because it's like cranking, right? You're just kind of like inching it along because you don't want to overfish it. And the rod just, you don't do anything. The rod just bends over and it's a circle hook.
Because of that exposed hook, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And they just suck it up, and you kind of maybe sweep a little or just put pressure back to the braid, and the rod does the rest of the work, dude. So
yeah,
you really don't.
The bait slides up the line, which is cool because it like saves your bait. Dude. It's sweet.
The one thing I'll say, and the guys that are listening on here from Lanier, Mikey throws the 3-inch a lot more than I do. I throw the 4.1 a lot because the main time that I use it, this is really for you Lanier guys. I know, like in the spring, we go up to the docks for staging fish, and we'll skip like a big mag draft, right? Or a big something like that. That's been a very successful thing for me too, is just skipping docks with it. And that 4-inch, you can skip it back in there further. I feel like it skips a little bit better than
100%.
And one thing I would say too, I mean, you probably know this, if you're casting it, that nail weight doesn't really come out if you're fishing open water. Once you get around docks and you do start skipping it, you're going to want to put a little dab of glue at the end because the nail weight will come out if you skip it really hard back in there. That I would say. But yeah, it's cool, and I appreciate Mikey taking that and running with it. I mean, he coined the name of it, And this is funny just for anybody. Where this all came from is actually our good buddy Eddie Krauth. This came from him fishing, in late summer on Lanier. The brush piles have been absolutely just pounded, right, like every day. And this is kind of right, I would say, around the start of forward-facing sonar. He would scope out, and you'd see some big spots sitting over the river channel. I guess these things maybe have gotten so smart they're sick of being harassed on the brush, and they're really, really finicky and really hard to catch. And so what Eddie was doing is he was doing like what you like to do, Mikey, the tight line thing.
Yeah.
So he was taking the sneak rig and throwing it at those fish, and almost like you're crappie fishing, just holding his rod up and just letting it kind of pendulum back. Mm-hmm. And he started catching so many big fish doing that. And here's the crazy thing. This is right when we came out with the Prodigy. And he's like, all right, man, I'm going to show you this, but I get this for 2 months. You can't advertise this. You can't talk about this. And he's like, just let me get my fill. And then finally he's like, all right, you can share it. And then probably around that time, like he had just showed me probably a few weeks before we first started talking. And I was like, that is unreal. Because when you see it in the water, that separation, I talk about this probably every time I'm on a podcast or talking to anybody about this rig, the separation of the weight and the hook and it not being a jig head forced through the bait, it allows the plastic to breathe. So you're getting that, like what you were talking about, Mikey, that very natural swimming motion on that.
Okay, I like it. Clint, take over for a second. I got to go let a dog out. He's got to pee.
Uh-oh.
I can hear him whining in there. I'm like, I feel like my wife is down at Tatum's house. I'm like, oh, take over for a second for me.
Yeah. So Mikey, back to that origin story a little bit. So like you're grinding, you've gone from the camcorder to when's like your first camera and like evolving there? Were you just on action cameras for a while? Like when did it really start to
Yeah,
get
I
real?
think I ran GoPros when they came out. I got one. I tried to get back in the day. They were also like, I was super poor, right? So I was always looking to like cut corners. And I think I bought one of those cheap like Chinese knockoff action cams once, and it like crapped the bed. So I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna get a GoPro. So I got like the original Hero, right? And started running a few of those. And back then it was kind of fun, man, because I was all about the production, right? Like how do I do this from a small time, like low budget standpoint, but get some of these cool angles that you see on like on Roland's show and all that. So I started building like weird pipe like rigs for these cameras, dude. And I'd take painter pulls and I'd modify brackets. So I actually kind of probably around 2015, I had it pretty dialed in where I'd run like a painter pole, like 12 foot up looking down. I had like a joint where I'd run one off the side of the boat to the right. I'd run a chesty, I'd run another. And I got pretty kind of dialed in with running a bunch of action cameras. My audio kind of sucked. I wasn't really keyed into how important like sound was to sort of complement video quality. But I had all these cool angles and really try to just hedge and be, like I said, I didn't have a bunch of money and I liked making things. So I just tried to cut every corner, but still, you said it really well, and capturing that experience and capturing the fun, like the view, like what's around us, like what's surrounding us, what's the ambience of like this moment, and trying to capture that as well as the action with the fish.
That's awesome. And like bringing you along for a ride in the boat. Like you really made people feel, and still do, like make them feel like they're in the back of the boat.
That's what I tried to do, dude. Because honestly, it's much easier to talk to a camera than a person. So, like, I don't know. Like it's kind of no holds barred.
The camera doesn't cast over you or break your eyes.
They don't call you a douche tool all the time and all that. And it's,
I can come back and I'm like, oh, okay. I wonder what the question was. We're talking about somebody being a douche in the back of the boat. I love it. What has been the most surreal moment for Mikey since he has gotten so big in the business? Something the 19-year-old kid would never believe is happening.
You know, one, I wouldn't call me big in the business. I'm pretty small time. Like I've been fortunate to kind of get to where I'm at. I guess I'll be totally honest. I never thought I'd have a new boat, and like getting a new boat, like a legit, like this is a new boat. I did kind of, I think it was the beginning of COVID back in 2021. That kind of blew my mind. It was the scariest thing I've ever done, dude. I'm like, this is so much money. Like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. Because every boat I've had, I paid cash for. And to be honest with you, like I won the one boat through that video thing, but like all my boats have been like, I think the most expensive were like 12 grand, dude. And it was like a 2003 Triton, you know, with like a 07 Optimax. It was all scratched up because he fished Seminole all the time. Like, so getting the new boat was kind of surreal, and just taking it out and having all these nice things. Because if you go back to the original videos, and dude, there's nothing, I love my John boats, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's a great starting point because you appreciate what you have a lot more, and you also learn from the ground up like how to build something that works and what components go into the things that you like in your system. And everybody's different, right? But like just the fancy, like I don't know, I was blown away, dude. Like I'm like, I have all these things that I always wished and dreamed to have on a boat, and it's mine. Like it's kind of a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah, he's very humble when he says he's not very big in the business. Your name is very big in the business, so you are very humble with that. But
well, if you hang around for freaking 15 years, some people might know you. It doesn't mean that for good reasons, but
I get it. But you know what? I think a lot of guys can relate to your answer right there. The first time they get, you know, their own boat, that, you know, the very first brand new boat, you know, I think that's a very relatable answer.
Well, but dude, here's the other thing. Like a lot of guys won't be able to do that, right?
Right.
So I always try to like remind myself, I'm like, you told me not to use the F word, so I won't do it, but you are effing lucky, right? Like, I mean, dude, like, I've worked really hard over the years, and like, there's no doubt, but just because you work hard doesn't mean it's going to work. You know, it's just like fishing, dude. Like, I can go spend, like, actually the past freaking week has been like that. I've put my time in on the water, and bro, I've been eating a bag of block, like I have not been catching them. I've been sucking. So like, I'm super thankful for the way things have turned out. I'm very fortunate, but like, you always got to be appreciative, dude. Otherwise you're going to become just another douche tool. And there's too many of those guys.
I like it. Douche tool. That's the word for the night, guys.
He makes a new word every time I hear this man talk.
What was
my
it?
language, bro? You got to communicate your ideas, right?
What was it? Tuesday night? It was closet sea riggers.
Yeah,
wow.
Is that what it was?
That's rough, dude.
Yeah, the guys coming out of the closet throwing the
what are those, like,
Carolina
are those drop shotters or something?
Yeah.
Closet
so like that. Hey, War Eagle the best wants your opinion on this. Let's throw it out there to you. Who's the top angler in the world? Now, he put Jacob Wheeler or Chris Johnson, or could it be somebody else?
I think it was Gerald Swindle was just talking about this on Mercer's podcast last night.
Is that what it was?
YouTube video, actually.
Well, okay. So just in your opinion, real quick, who do you think is the best out there in the professional ranks?
It's interesting because like, I'm going to play politician. There's so many ways to frame this. And I think you have to define fishing as pre-forward facing and post-forward facing. Okay. So like Kevin Van Dam, obviously, like his level of dominance was insane, right? Like, I mean, I remember the old Bassmaster ESPN2 Saturday morning, like it's ridiculous to watch what he did, dude. But there was like an elite class at that point. Like the accessibility, I keep using that word, but it's really important in what we're doing right now. Like the ability of like the average guy to access that was much harder, dude. Mm-hmm. And so I would say KVD back then, if you're looking at kind of new school, I kind of grade things a little different because I am on the content end. So I value, for as much as their competitive abilities and their fishing abilities, their ability to like communicate an idea, create a brand, right? Because that's what actually leads to longevity in pro fishing these days. They can't just be good. There's a lot of really good guys, dude. And any day, anybody can be that guy. That's right. But Jacob Wheeler, dude, has been smart on the water, and he's extremely competitive, and he's good. Like he's amazing in that regard.
Fishy. Like,
yeah.
Fishy.
But dude, like, I mean, Clint, like it's hard to shoot the videos, bro. Like it takes time. And and I know he's like paying a camera guy and he has a social media squad, but he's executing on both ends of the spectrum, bro. So he's branding himself. He's active on social media. He's sharing concepts and ideas, whether you like them or not, but he's also extremely competitive and dominant, dude. So I think I'd almost have to say like Jacob Wheeler, man.
I like how he framed that answer, not just what he does on the water, but all the other stuff. Because to me, that's what makes Bill Dance one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, he is good, dude.
He did it on the water, but and I know people will come back at you like, well, he fished on farm pond. He was giving you guys information. We all watched it. We all knew what the hell, everybody knows who Bill Dance is. My wife went down to ICAST. She couldn't tell you another pro angler in the world.
And he has the best outtakes out of anybody in the whole world.
Absolutely. But Bill Dance walked by and she goes, I got to get my picture made with him because that's who my daddy watched.
That's cool.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's
that's
like that.
Cool.
But I get what you're saying. I'm glad you answered the question that way. It's not just tournament wins. How you're framing the new guys. It's what they do off the water, how the brand they're building and all that. I like that answer right there. So I hope that answered your question. He's going to take Jacob.
And as a camera guy, just because you pay a camera guy doesn't mean you're the best. It takes
100%.
two to tango. You both have to be able to rock and roll. And I have a big respect for the guys that do it themselves and a big respect for the guys that hire a camera guy and do it well, because there's plenty of guys you'll see them run with one camera guy and then a year later they're gone. And like that, like you have that camera guy angler relationship is so hard to find the right one. Like you look at Brandon Polinick and Kyle Vandiver, like those guys figured it out, and it was not likely that was going to work after the first year. And then they're like, let's keep doing this. This is kind of working out. And then like it's evolved to what it is now. Like having the right relationship goes a long way. So it's not easy doing that job at all.
I get it. It's a good answer. All right, how about this one? Is the new Predator spinnerbait legal in tournaments?
Jesus, I gotta Google this.
I was gonna say, what the hell is a Predator spinnerbait?
I don't know.
It's not
That's
as
a
good as
good way
the
to sell
Terminator
it, though. You
spinnerbait,
jump
right,
on a
Father Time?
podcast and you ask a question and then you pump search
Yeah,
results.
yeah.
Oh,
Right?
listen, they're used to coming on our podcast and saying something. I'm like, hell, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
It sounds like they're trying to knock off Kevin's favorite spinnerbait, the Terminator.
Terminator.
Yeah, listen, and nobody can get those because Kevin's done bought them all up.
He
So
bought them all.
Mikey's over there Googling it
Oh,
right
hell
now.
yeah, I'm Googling. Dude, I'll snatch anything, bro.
Yeah.
Like, everybody steals from me, so I steal right back from
Hell
them.
yeah, go ahead and do that. And while he is Googling, guys, if you want to throw the score of the football game up in the comment section, you can do that
Please
just as
do.
well. Yeah,
I can't believe you guys scheduled this over the game, bro.
Listen, it's Clint. It's Clint's fault.
He hates Miami,
playing?
hates Ole Miss.
Clint, who's playing?
Basketball? I don't know.
Listen, no, the game I want to watch is tomorrow night anyway, so I can miss this one. I want to see the rematch of Indiana Oregon. Just to see
I
how
just
that
like the
goes.
battle of the dogs, man. Like
True.
you can't beat like two dogs making it where in a place where they really shouldn't be. Like
You're right. You're absolutely right. So, how about this? While he's looking up predator spinnerbaits, which way do you hook? Down or sideways? I think he's talking about the sneak rig.
The sneak rig is up.
hook
so-
up, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
So through the nose up, I guess it'd be vertical from the tail, so
Yeah.
upwards, so it opens above the head.
All right, there you go. Have y'all fished the Echo sneak rig with the bigger sizes?
Yes. Oh, I have. I actually use it as kind of so you can do a couple things with it. One, you can fish it like a fluke, right? So you put the weight in it and you can use it like a twitch bait, and you got to be gentle so you don't like rip it too much, but it twitches. The other sneaky way, and this year is not a good year for it because it isn't super duper cold, but when it gets ultra cold and you don't want any kind of like wobble, like kicking action from that paddle tail on the Prodigy, you actually do the exact same thing with the Echo, which has that straight tail. And when you reel it, that little tail goes just ever so slightly. So you can get an ultra like subtle presentation in that same kind of style, you know?
Right. Yes, I figured out what the Jika rig was. I had people sending me pictures of it. So yes,
Jika rig.
Jika. Is it Jika?
Jika.
GIF
Okay.
or GIF, right?
Yes, exactly. Let's see.
That's a good one, Jeffrey.
Yeah, now we're gonna get a bunch of comments on that, dude.
I work directly with this girl at Yamaha, and she always says GIF, and I'm like, it is not a GIF. She's like, I've made these new GIFs for our email campaign. I'm like, it's not a GIF. Like, that's peanut butter. Like, it's not a GIF.
I like this from Eric. Let's be honest. We all fish. We don't like a ton of people. It's literally the only sport where it's considered rude to get within 100 yards of someone else.
That's
pretty
true. We're
good.
all like isolationist, sad people
We
who
are,
are be on an
yeah.
island, bro. Yeah.
I get it. Let's see. Let me go. I am so far behind on the comments because I get caught up in what he's saying. I just absolutely don't pay attention. This is for me. You consider yourself a power guy or finesse guy?
I don't know.
If you had to quantify yourself.
I think these days I'm probably kind of finesse, you know, because I like playing with the spinning rods. But then the thing, so let me tell you about my ideal day. So my perfect day, and I actually won a tournament on Gunnersville like this. I went out and I threw a freaking minnow, right? And I caught him on a minnow, and I had like, I don't know, 20, 21 pounds or whatever. And I'm like, dude, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go flip mats now, because if I win a derby, I want to catch them on a spin pole, and then I want to go catch them on a big weight. And I went in and I caught like a 5.5 and like called out and had like 24 pounds and won. So like my perfect day is to catch them on some tootle dwaddle kind of thing, like, you know, and then go catch them on a big stick, dude. So I don't know if that kind of defines it, but
Toodle dwaddle. Okay. I like
That was on
that.
one of his videos.
Toodle dwaddle.
tootle dwaddle.
We're just expanding our vocabulary tonight here on the live well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Cranking and Yanking is our resident anti-forward facing buddy from Louisiana. And when you were talking about quantifying who you thought the best in the world was, he wants to know, why do you think it has to be pre-forward facing sonar to determine who the best? I think you were probably just using it as a dividing line.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, I'll be the first, like, to admit it changes how we approach things. So I think it's two different generations, right? Like, I mean, we don't like compare directly like 7-fish tournament limits and 5-fish tournament limits. Like, they're the same general category, they're tournaments, but they're different, right? So it's not positive or negative. I'm not gonna like jump into that trap. It's a different style of fishing. It's changed the way guys approach tournament fishing, and it's that big of a deal that it's something that defines an era, right? It defines a point at which we move in a different direction, or things have been modified so much that I think it's enough to say, hey, we need to look at these as two different segments. Like, it's not positive or negative.
I get that. And guys, we got T McGuire. Tim's in the comment section. Today's
Happy
his birthday.
Tim.
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday.
Tim's
You're
good,
on. I
dude.
mean, what has he got? He's got to be getting the AARP shit in the mail. I mean,
Hey, watch it
Huh?
there.
He finally chimes in. He's like, hey, get off my board.
now.
Started AARP.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that discount. You know, I'm close. Now, all right. Papa Pond Hopper. This will determine whether we like you or not. Let's get something clear early. Are you a whopper plopper or a buzzbait guy?
I like a buzzbait, dude.
Yes.
I do. But here's the deal, though. Where I'm at, like, a buzzbait plays a lot more, especially we hit fall and you get on that river and, dude, you can catch like 50, 60 fish on Wheeler, dude, just going down and throwing it down like the wood and all that. And it's a blast.
Buzzbaits are fun.
All right. Well, there you go. Let me nail that.
Especially them little tiny finesse buzzbaits.
That's the one, dude. Not to go back to Jacob Wheeler again, but he built that accent quarter ounce finesse one. And I know it's been around for ages, but when I picked that thing up like 4 or 5 years ago, man, and went out there, the number of bites you get, and it's just so much fun. They crush that thing.
I got you. Now, okay, so the whopper plop, there's several reasons why I hate it, but I'll be quite honest. My hookup ratio when I do throw it sucks. It's terrible. What am I doing wrong?
You know, I have a love-hate relationship with whopper plopper too. Down in Florida, they absolutely crush it, right? But it's kind of annoying to fish because you're just kind of like, and what I've found is never throw the small one. And that's something that kind of helps. Even if you're on like smaller fish, if you're throwing that little tiny one, which I tried for a long time to toss, trying to do something different, I feel like they don't commit as hard to it. And the other thing too is I would change out the hooks. It's got those big old gaff hooks on it. I put like a little bit smaller. I think, is it a number 1 maybe? And a little bit lower diameter, because I actually throw it on like a medium action 7-foot rod with like 30-pound braid to like 15 or 20-pound mono. So a little bit smaller hooks, because they're kind of gaffy, the ones it comes with, man.
It does come with some beefers.
Yeah.
Because Dahlberg was catching so many muskie on it. He was just like
he's a freaking classic. He's YouTube, man. Yeah. That guy had it dialed in long before the video kind of concepts ever showed up.
Who was that? I didn't hear.
Larry Dahlberg.
Gotcha.
He's got some wizard powers. He was like, hey, I'm going to go out and catch 7 muskie over 42 inches with my buddy Paul Bork. And I was like, what do you mean you're going to go catch 7? Like, nobody says they're going to go catch a fish of 10,000 casts, like so dialed. And he was literally like looking at his watch, waiting for the moon phase. And then he'd make one cast, catch a 40-inch muskie and be like, all right, Paul, you want to go grab some lunch? We're going to come back at 2:00. Came back at 2:00, catches another 40 after one cast, like lining up, looking at the sun. I'm like, this dude's wild. And he caught, there was 7, or I think Paul said there's 8 muskies sitting in that hole. This is pre-forward facing. And he said that Larry was like, yeah, there's 8 sitting there. And he caught 7 of them. And then one of them jumped off at the boat. So he caught in 8 casts, he caught 7 muskie. That's
impressive, because I mean, I've caught muskie before, but I've never heard of anybody doing it like that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That is.
Well, and he was doing like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like back in the day, he was doing like, hey, welcome to my basement. Let's build a swim bait, and like pouring a mold and like devoting almost an entire show to doing like bait rigging. Like what would be like a 15-minute YouTube video now, this dude was doing on like national network production television and doing it kind of off the cuff. It was
for sure
really cool, man.
His basement is wild. I was lucky enough to be able to go see it back in 2020 with Paul, and it was sick. Like it was everything you think it's gonna be. It's like, oh my god! And
Did you meet him?
Yeah. And
is he as cool as he seems?
Oh
like,
my god! Yeah. He's so laid back and chill. Like, yeah, he's a really cool dude. Yeah,
I love it. Mikey, you gonna be at the Classic this year?
Nope.
Wacky Rig wanted to know. All right, let's say he came up. You throw the wacky any at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I love me a wacky rig, dude.
Okay.
And I do some naughty, sneaky stuff with it. So what I've been doing, and it got what's his Easton Fothergill or whatever So that joker won the classic last year, Nico rigging, but never letting it hit the bottom, right? And so literally, dude, probably 4 or 5 months. And I know I'm not the only one who is doing this, but for the past couple of years, we've been fishing a Nico rig like a minnow. And actually, Ryan's new worm is perfect for it. That Nova worm that he come out with. So we've been using like bait colored worms. So like a shad, like a smoke, like a pink or something. And you put that 16th ounce in, and it actually, a 16th ounce Nico rigged like nail weight worm will fall about as fast as an 1/8 ounce minnow. Because it's super slender, right? So it goes down, but you can stall it a lot more. This year hasn't been the best for it, but you can basically, when that water gets down like 45, 50, you know, it's super cold. Those spots are really, they're set up, but they're slow. You know, you need to go slower instead of faster. Bro, you can like suspend that thing and just shake it ever so slightly, and you will catch like 3 or 4 times what you catch on a minnow, dude. It's ridiculous.
I love that story. Remember, Clint Easton was talking about that winning fish.
Mm-hmm.
He basically was doing what he was describing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said he was hovering it, and the 8-pounder comes up, and then he's like, nah, and goes back down. And then all of a sudden, he said she just lit up like a fireball and just.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, like so I put that video up, I think it was like 2 Decembers ago or something. And like I did it with spotted bass, but we've been doing it with largemouth too. And like with pink and stuff, like I'll do it on Gunnersville, man. And like a lot of guys think it's like a spot, smallmouth, Highland impoundment, you know, like that kind of deal. But the largemouth absolutely crush it, dude.
Yeah. All you guys can answer this question. It's geared towards Ryan from your buddy just south of Lanier. But what is your biggest fish from the bank in fresh water?
In fresh water, probably like there were some golf courses that we used to fish up up 400 when I lived in Georgia, and dude, it was so stupid. There was like a bridge in the middle, and there was like this deeper side, and we would go there every single day, and we'd get kicked out most days, and we'd come back the next day because during spawning season, the right side was shallow. And there were so many monsters on the bed. And back then, dude, I would fish. My favorite lure was a Zoom, like purple or green lizard. And I would drag that on the bed. And I probably caught like an 8 or 9 pounder from the bank doing that there. We caught a lot of big fish. That would be my biggest one from the bank.
Cool.
What about you, Mikey?
Trying to think, you know, we used to fish when I moved to Florida for the first time. I actually lived with my aunt and uncle, and they lived in like a little like townhouse thing, and I got to sleep in the upstairs like office bedroom, and they had these HOA ponds in there, and you could fish them if you lived there. And they had, which was cool, is peacock bass and largemouth, right? So it's probably only like a 6.5, 7 pounder, but then I caught like a peacock that was like 5.5, 6 pounds as well. So like those two off the bank, I used to ride my bike around with a backpack because it was like a ginormous place, and you learn these little like bank crevices and stuff, dude. And that's probably it. Like only like 6.5, 7, but it was a great experience back then. I love that, dude.
All right, Clint and Father Time, I'm gonna let you
Hold on real quick. Whoever's asking me that question, I think I know this person because that was the name of the golf course we went to, Champion. Champions Trophy Club. So now it's really messing with me. Is that like my cousin? Who is this?
I don't know who it is,
just
but
south of Lanier. Hold on,
he stowed out several comments, and it is like
sorry, but that's messing with me.
Yeah, it seems like y'all fished together back in the day.
That was the hunt, dude. I'm not trying to stop this story, but when you got on the bridge, you could cast. We would get like 5 bags of the Yum Dingers, like the cheaper version of a Seiko, and you could just stand on that bridge. There was times a year, cast after cast, and just wear their asses out. It was so much fun. I don't know why I don't just pond fish, and that's what I should do. I mean, I caught a lot of fish back then, man.
There's your answer.
My cousin, yeah. That's okay. Oh, that was messing with me. How does he know Champion? What is going on? Okay, that's cool.
Did you want Champion to be out there though?
No, that's fine, dude. It's toast probably by now, dude. This is like a thing. Yeah, it's smoked.
I got you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Clint and Father Time, real quick. Biggest one from the bank.
Like a 20-something pound grass carp from the bank when I was like 18.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah, and they would like they would cruise the bank, and I pitched a wacky rig to it, and it ate it, and it was like like I'm just fishing it on like 10 pound. It was like a 20-something pounder. It's like one of my first pictures on Instagram. I'm holding this big muddy carp because I jumped in the mud to like pick this thing up, and I'm just like holding this thing up. It was crazy. I'd say that's definitely the biggest fish from the bank. But other than that, I caught a 7-11 on a shaky head. I saw these. It was a dead winter time, and I snuck out to this golf course pond, and I see these bubbles come up, and like you'd normally see like turtle bubbles or whatever, right? And I was like, I wonder if I pitched a shaky head over to the bubbles, and it like I hit that bubble like perfect, right? And it goes down, and I'm just like sitting there. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, there's got to be something down there. And I'm like, maybe this turtle will bite it or whatever it is. And it goes, and I was like, oh my God, it was a 7-11, biggest pond bass I've ever caught. I was so fired up. Biggest bass I'd ever caught at that point. I think my PB was like 6 pounds at that point. So I was fired up.
I'm noticing kind of a pattern. Golf course, HOA, golf course.
Yeah.
Anywhere where you can get arrested, basically.
Exactly. All right, Kevin, how about you? Let's let you answer that question.
Well, I'm dating my age here, but I caught them on a farm pond before Disney World was built. 7-1.
Really?
Yeah. He's from Florida. He's
where Disney
Florida.
World is now. Yeah, I'm from
That's
Florida
super
too.
cool.
I lived on Lake Kissimmee.
Really?
I mean, Lake Toho, rather. In the Kissimmee chain.
Cool. Yeah.
That's funny.
What's your favorite chain of lakes, by the way, in Florida?
In Florida, I used to love Okeechobee just because that's where I was and it was so dynamic. I enjoy them all. Like Kissimmee chain's super cool. That Winter Haven chain,
Winter Haven's
hammered now,
awesome.
but
Winter
it's
Haven's
super
really good.
unique. I've been on Harris chain a bit, but not a ton. It kind of depends what you want, though. You got brush piles in that. If you go to that Winter Haven chain, Kissimmee's much more dynamic, with all the lakes. But I guess in the end, probably Okeechobee. I have so many great memories out there, man. It's my
I keep trying to tell these guys we need to go to Okeechobee.
Yeah, you got to make the pilgrimage, bro.
We're just waiting for him to pay for it.
Smart idea. It's expensive down there.
Yeah, like, sheesh, we know who's got the money. How about this? Because I'm a wacky worm guy too. I love the wacky rig. But do you ever try doing it with a mag trick worm?
Oh, bro, I used to smoke them on that.
Really?
Like some of those deeper Florida lakes that I used to fish. We used like mag stuff. Like we're talking like 1/4 ounce, 1/8 ounce, like heavy old lead cap weights on them. I even used to. You ever seen those mag Cincos? Like Gambler makes one. It's like a 7-inch. It looks like a dong, dude. It's like just gigantic. And we used to throw those on bait casting tackle, like a 7-foot medium with 12-pound fluoro, dude. And you just friggin' and they'd never seen it before, right? Like they're used to seeing all these 10-inch, 12-inch, 13-inch ribbon tails, and you put that big dong down there and you shake it to the side on those hard spots, and they would crush it, bro.
I need to cut that soundtrack right there. You just put that dong down there on those hard.
Put that dong down there, dude.
Crush it.
On the hard
They crushed it,
They just crush it,
bro. You want to hear something filthy? Like this is bad. I don't even know if it's still on. So I obviously am an excitable individual, and I love fishing. It like turns me into a 12-year-old. I don't care how old I get. And so way back in the day, I caught a fish. I didn't even have a scale or nothing in a modified John boat. I'm an idiot, as you can tell. And it was gigantic, right? And so I measured the fish. So my buddies the other day, they go and they're watching the video in the truck. And at some point I go, oh my God, it's so big. I got a high-pitched voice because I'm excited. It's like 26 inch. Yeah, so they took that and they put this caption on there, Mikey Balzz porn. And I got to admit, dude, if I didn't know it was me or what I was talking about, it sounds filthy.
I didn't even think that was you, man. That's crazy.
I'm like, dude, I got to quit talking like this.
Where can we find this?
I put it up on my stories. Hopefully it's gone by now.
I did not know. I listened to that and I was like, that's not Mikey. There's no way.
That's not right, is what it is.
That's funny.
Well, was you getting excited, Ryan?
Yeah, I was getting
That
excited.
was ridiculous.
What are friends?
I don't even know
for,
where to
right?
go with that one right there.
Every Fish North Georgia somehow ends up something like this, doesn't
Yes.
it?
And
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? It's
It
every time
does.
you
I
come
forgot to
on.
warn you, Mikey. You'll fit right in.
It's every time Ryan comes on, we get in trouble.
No, it's not me. I get calls from Clint the next day at the coffee shop. You should have heard what Danny said last night. I was like, was he drinking? No, he just said it. I was like, all right.
The night is still young. boys.
Don't blame it on Mustache Man over here.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mikey, Papa Pond Hopper wants to know, what would you consider a solid fish? And this is relative to a lot of people, but now at this stage in your career.
I mean, like a 5-pounder. I think it's kind of standard pretty much anywhere, right? Like a 5, 4.5, 5 is a chunker,
Right. What about you there, Ryan Hanks? Because you're all over the world now catching these big fish.
Going
and,
international.
he's international.
Oh,
That's why he grew
Captain
the mu- that's why
Kangaroo's
he's got the
international.
With a bass, 5 pounds. I agree on that.
With a bass. That's so elitist. You mean
No,
with
it's
a bass?
See,
Oh,
I'm
that's
glad
not-
somebody
it's
else
not.
caught it.
Listen, you don't know how many times I've tried to invite Mikey saltwater fishing. He
We'll never go.
One of these
I
days.
get it. But you know what? You look like if you went over there to Europe and all that with that mustache and all that, you'd fit right in and everything now.
Oh, yeah.
He's a snob. He's a fishing snob and all that. Let's see. I'm trying to.
I'm not a fishing snob. I don't even fish anymore, bro. I just
Neither do I. I got a
Trust me.
podcast. I talk about it, and I don't ever fish.
Yeah, no, I get to go next
Shit.
week.
I lived through all
I get
you
to go
guys.
next week. Last time I think I fished was probably with you, Mikey, or the day after with Franco. That was when? That was like
when you
before
went for-
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Ugh,
You gotta get on the water, dude.
bro.
Mikey, how
Killing
did you and JT become friends?
Oh God. If I was 100% honest about this story, we would get kicked off the internet right now. So JT at the time was working with Gambler Lures many, many moons ago. And I do some work with Val, who owns Gambler Lures, and I help him with the social media and all that. And Val was like, hey, JT's like on the pro staff. Can you go shoot some video with him? I'm like, that would be super cool, right? Like JT's cool. So we went up there, and I think you can kind of get the vibe. JT is one of the coolest, most down to earth, filthy, but awesome freaking dudes you'd ever meet. And me and him, dude, we vibed immediately, and we talked so much smack for about 8 hours. And by the end of the day, he's like, hey, you want to get together again and shoot some stuff? And I'm like, hell yeah. And dude, like we covered everything. Let's just say we covered everything on the internet, dude. And it was so much fun. He's a good dude, man.
I like it. Patricia Leanne Shaw. Gotta get it's always reeling us back to the actual fishing talk right here, right? Why don't anglers throw a floating worm anymore? And is it because of the hookups? I throw the floating worm, but I throw it in
So do
springtime.
I
Yeah,
throw a float worm.
Is it year round with you, or when do you throw it? How about that?
I throw it during like spring in the spawn, and I'll throw a twist on it. Like I don't even do the old floating worm anymore. We used to do this trick up in Wisconsin. I actually put a YouTube video up. I thought it'd get a lot more views, but it kind of crapped the bed. But we used to have this deal where you buy those. I think Cream was known
Pre-rigged,
for 'em.
yeah.
Yeah, the pre-rigged worms. There's better versions than the Cream, but dude, you want to talk about like getting bites. Like it does this roll, twist up your line crap, but you can skip it under docks, and it's kind of like the sneak rig. It's so light and natural the way it just kind of twists through the water. I smoke them on that, dude. Even on Gunnersville, it's kind of a sneaky deal during the spawn.
I like it. Well, okay, now explain to me this, though, because we were talking about this at lunch yesterday, day before. The colors bubblegum and methylate. When we're talking about floating worms, that's really popular in the spring. What in the hell does methylate represent to a bass? That color.
That's
That was my favorite.
I have no
I
idea.
wore them out on that. That
It
was
works though, yeah.
It's no doubt it works, but just, I mean, why?
I have no idea. I think it's maybe that pink thing. I don't think they see like stupid orange. I think they see some like bright shade. And then you got to remember with the methylate too, it's bright, but a lot of variations are pretty clear, right? Or semi-transparent.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's bright, but it's bright with transparency. So I think there's a sort of, it's one of those things where we're not seeing what they're seeing kind of thing.
Right. And so Paul B, a lot of people say this. I think the color just pisses them off. Yeah. Could be. Darian Moss, story of my life. He's been telling my girl 4.5, 5 is a chonker for years or whatever.
Good for him.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a good dick joke every evening.
Oh, I knew this
Here
show
we
was gonna
go.
be fun with
Here we
Danny
go.
and Mikey.
We're
Balzz.
taking off.
Hey, it's okay. I love it. All right. So, you know what? I think that's a good highlight right there. Let's stop and do our question of the
My
night
girl
right
just
there.
walked in right at this moment too. Couldn't have been better,
Who did?
so, yeah. Great.
Who'd you say walked in?
My girl, Brittany.
Your girl. Well, my wife will be, if she watched that when we get done, she's like, you know, you could have been telling them about Jesus or something like that. I'm
You
like,
don't have
"Yeah,
to
I
think
know."
about that in church on Sunday,
I
Danny.
know it. That's why I sit on the front row right there. All right, so let's do the question of the night. Kevin hasn't been on with me in like 2 weeks because of the holidays, so we haven't been doing any of the questions. I'm going to give away the winner a Spro Megla. How about a Megalodon 6? All right, I'll send that to the first person that answers this. But y'all ain't going to answer this question right, because I don't think anybody will answer this question.
Good luck.
Good luck with this because it ain't even fishing related. Go ahead, Kevin. And Mikey, listen, a little tradition we got is, butthole up there on the top. He likes to ask these questions that nobody can freaking answer. And he prides himself on them, on having questions that you can't AI, you can't Google it and all that. And how many times, Clint, have we had this where like nobody answers the question?
Where it's just like crickets. Like, yeah.
Clint answered these things like 4 weeks in a row. That's
the whole reason I'm on this show is because of the questions. I used to get them right.
Send him lures every week.
I used to get them right, and then they were giving away rod sleeves at the time, and I'd be in the comments and I'd be like, okay, my goal is to win enough of these to where I have a rod sleeve for every single rod in the boat. I got up to like 5, and then we ended up coming on the show eventually, so I couldn't win them anymore. So
that's what we had to do. That's the only reason his ass is on the show.
So he doesn't win rod sleeves.
Yeah, he's got like a ton of evolved rod sleeves,
Yeah.
So, all right, there you go, Kevin. Let it rip, buddy.
This one isn't that tough, but here goes. What was on page 23 of the brochure for the 1989 Ford Thunderbird, and who had the idea? I'll read it again. What was on page 23 of the brochure for the 1989 Ford Thunderbird, and who had the idea?
I bet your ass didn't have that one on your bingo card for today, did you? Mikey, just out of curiosity, you seem like a very smart man to me.
Oh, wow.
Listen, maybe I'm giving you more credit. You fit right in with this crew, I can tell you that. But off the top of your head, what would you think?
I'm going to go with Elton John.
Elton John. Why the hell you got Elton John on your brain right there for that one?
I'm just trying to think about like what wouldn't be on like a muscle car from the 80s, dude. It's got to be Elton John.
I don't think Elton John's been on any muscle cars, but muscle maybe. I don't know about muscle cars.
You got answers in the back.
Thelma and Louise. No, you guys listen. Bill Elliott is a good guess because of the Thunderbird, but guys, like, it's not. It's not the spoiler package. It's not Bill Elliott. You guys ain't gonna get it because this actually blew my mind. We'll have to set a time limit. How about we give them 5 more minutes? We'll keep.
You do have a picture of this, right? Like,
yes.
You're gonna show it.
What year was it again?
83.
1989.
1989.
Oh.
1989. What was on page what?
23 of the brochure for the 1989 Ford Thunderbird, and who had the idea?
And like, yeah, none of you guys are gonna get that. You ain't gonna get it at all. So we'll keep going. We'll keep going on the comment sections. I'll watch it. What the hell is a Thunderbird? You know what a Thunderbird is. I'm gonna watch the answers there, Clint. Go out. You take the next question.
all right, let's see what we got here.
You ain't got none. You have to make one up on your own.
Okay. All right. Where do you see
got it.
What?
where do you
got
see
it.
What?
Oh, they did?
I cannot believe this. The Thunderbird brochure debuted the fuel gauge arrow, which indicates the location of the gas cap. The inventor of this now standard feature was Jim Moylan, who was a design director for Ford at the time. Now, that's 1989. When he told me that before the show, I was like, I just thought that was some shit that's been on the car forever. But that was on page 29 of the Thunderbird brochure. I'll be damned, somebody got it.
23.
That's
Huh?
good.
Page 23.
Well, whatever the hell, he got it. So like that.
Hey, Danny, wait till next
Shit,
week's
what damn
question.
page it was on? What?
Wait till next week's question.
Yeah, y'all done pissed him off.
That
That was the warm up.
That
He's
was-
just
yeah.
getting warmed up.
I got
for
one.
26.
It's going to kill him.
Well, he did one more. Okay, so listen. So Papa Pond Hopper, go on Facebook, message me, Danny, directly. Give me your address, and you'll get it sometime within the next 6 months. Because everybody
Get in line.
The
You
mail's
get it when
been
I send
terrible, bro. Like,
Oh, it's
been
horrible.
bad.
He don't even go to Danny's house.
No, yeah. Okay, here we go. All right. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. There you go. Cranking and Yanking says that looks like copy and paste to me. It might have been, but by God, he got it. So we're
Yeah.
gonna send him the
Oh,
prize.
That's good
and all
Googling right there.
that. Mikey, what do you find? You fish a ton of different techniques, and you're good at a lot of them. But what is the one technique that you really struggle at? That might be the last thing that you actually do if you have to. It's like you're punting almost.
Are you a closet sea rigger?
I got pretty good at a sea rig fishing the river up here. Dude.
He's out of the closet on that.
I don't know because I kind of consider myself sort of like average at just about everything, right? Because you got to like shoot videos on stuff, maybe some funky techniques, maybe a tailspin, but like that's not like super complex either, right? I'm sure there's some like crazy JDM stuff out right now. I will say the one thing that I absolutely suck at and I continue to suck at is an FG knot. I cannot tie an FG knot to save my life, dude. Yeah,
Bro,
I've tried
next time we hang out, we're gonna have FG
check
time.
this out. I got a new little thing. So, buddy,
I'm gonna show you a really easy way.
I told him that I suck at it, and I guess there's this
You don't need all that.
Japanese
You just
tool.
need your teeth.
Well, I don't know. I need anything to help me because I suck at it. Dude. Let's see. It is what it is.
No, dude, I'll help you because definitely that was a big deal when I moved down here from Georgia. We were snook fishing a lot and fishing for tarpon and grouper. And the biggest key to anybody listening too, because when I first started tying it where it would fail, is you do the 20 wraps and then you do a wrap like a half hitch to lock those wraps, right? You want to pull that really, really tight. That's what cinches everything down. And when guys first start doing it, they won't pull that tight and it'll slip out. And,
that's what I kept messing up when I was learning it. I was like, why is this not failing? Like I'm tying it. I'm taking 15 minutes to tie an FG knot. Like, why is it failing? As soon as you do that first cinch, that first overhand over your wraps, you got to wrap that thing on both sides of that line and just be real easy with it, especially with a light line, and get that thing cinched down to where it changes colors a little bit. And that was
a funny thing too. Tying FG knots for bass fishing or for that, because like that came from the saltwater world where we were using like 100-pound braid to like 150-pound leader. And actually there's things called PE sticks or line tensioners, and you wrap the line around both sides and you pull it apart like that to cinch that knot down. But yeah, dude, it's a really good knot. I'll show you next time.
Yeah, we'll do a little tutorial. Maybe we'll shoot a little video, dude. Because I know I'm not the only one, dude. And
but for freshwater things, I think about too. Like I've started playing with, which I didn't do for a long time, was fishing like a football or a tungsten jig on a braid to leader. Like I've always just been straight fluoro or whatever. And you want a knot like that. Like I could see where that could come into play because you're drilling them, right? Like something like that.
Well, especially you got me playing with this BFS stuff now, dude.
Yeah.
And like the biggest like enemy to a BFS setup is a bulky like juncture knot, right?
Right.
Because you're running 8-pound, you're running like 10-pound braid in that, so you got to have that smooth knot. Otherwise, you can only run like a 1.5 leader, which kind of kills the process.
Yeah, it's a really good streamlined knot. Even for the light stuff, I did just say that about the bass stuff, but Carl Jochumsen told me a really cool story. When he won the first tournament, when he came over here, before he fished the Elites or any of that, his first tournament ever in America. What is the lake out in Arizona? Is it Lake Mead or Havasu? Like in that area, they're really, really clear, right? And he was actually he was fishing. I think this is back when he met Fred Verbanis and all that. And I think he fished a tournament with them or as a co-angler or something. But he was talking about he was catching these fish because the water was so clear. He downsized his leader. I can't remember if he said to like a 4 or a 5-pound fluorocarbon leader, and he was getting a lot more bites doing that, fishing a little grub. But what allowed him to do that was tying an FG knot. He knew that from Australia because that came from a lot of the GT guys, like the big poppers and stuff. So he knew how to tie an FG knot even back at that time. And he said he was able to utilize like a 4 or 5-pound leader, which helped him win that tournament.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I got to ask the question because I'd let the dog in. Clint, you asked him if he tied the FG.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah, we eventually talked about it. Yes.
I never got it. Does Mikey tie it or not?
I can't. No.
Thank God somebody else did.
So are you an Alberto guy?
I tie like a double uni, and then there's one. I always forget what it's called, but it's like you make a figure 8 with the fluoro, and then you thread the braid through it, and then tie a uni on one side and pull it tight. It actually works pretty good, and it's pretty streamlined, and especially out on the water if it's blown and stuff, it's pretty easy. But I need to get my FG on 100%.
Get his FG on.
I'll help you out, brother.
That's another sound bite right there. He needs to get his FG on and run. I'll help you out, brother.
All 26 inches, right?
That's exactly right. Have any of you guys tried a jerk bait on a sea rig since we're all out of the closet tonight?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that.
And I put a Buka shad on a sea rig once, dude. The floating version, and I smoked them in Florida. It was freaking cool.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd be the first person I've known done that. Any of you other guys? Kevin, you've been around long enough to try stuff like that.
I haven't tried that.
I haven't either. That's a different one.
I'm just the old ball and chain guy.
I got on this dumb bite with the DT10 on a Carolina rig. I was putting a
Really?
DT10 on it because I wanted to get it that profile, but I wanted it in 30 foot of water. And
Yeah.
was able to,
So you're
able to
kind of
turn-
like long. That's the
You're
reason
pretty
I
much
did it
just
with
long
that,
lining a
that
crankbait
buka
at that
bait
point.
too, man.
Yeah.
Because I was catching them long lining, and I'm like, I want to get something down there, but that still moves. So I put like a 1 1/4 ounce tungsten on there and took a
Yep.
floating like buka bait and reeled it over hard spots, dude. And it would just
Yep.
it was the jointed one too, not like the glide, dude.
Yeah.
That was my next question. What kind of weight did it take to get those things
Yeah,
down there?
it was pretty heavy.
That's insane. They need to have an intervention for you and I, Mike, because we do not know how to tie the FG.
That'd be a fun show. We should go live and do a FG training course.
Oh, dude, you'd be bleeping me out loud.
Oh, I was
You
gonna
should have heard me after like 3 or 4 tries, dude. It's every like George Carlin 7 dirty words you can find, bro. Like,
You
it's
know what?
bad.
He was an amazing comedian.
He was.
Smart.
You know what?
So smart.
Back in the day, I used to buy a lot of vinyl because we had this old like used crap store, you know, and the records were like $1. I got George Carlin's 7 Dirty Words, the original vinyl. I used to listen to that. I was like in, I don't know, 7th or 8th grade, dude.
Yes.
And my parents didn't know how to take it, right? They're like, this is great. He's an historical figure. Like, he was very creative, but like, it's absolutely filthy, dude. It's
It
so
is, but you know, I sit back and I watch his old, you know, when something of his pops up, and I'm sitting here thinking, whether you agree with what he was saying or not, like that man was a genius.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just way up there in the IQ world like that.
And he'd call out anybody. That was some of those old school guys are cool because, like, dude, they're not one side, other side. Like, I don't want to get all into that, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? He would thrash on anybody.
Yeah,
It
he
was
Had
great.
a filter.
he was South Park before South Park.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly what it was.
That's fun. Before we
Mike-
leave the FG, I just have one,
okay.
one quick little note on the FG. It just popped into my head. I had Rob G at the house, and he was tying an FG knot, and he's sitting there, and you know you got your line in your teeth or whatever, and he's like, you know what FG stands for? And I'm like what? And he says the actual word, but he goes freaking good. And like Rob, like his eyes will get real big when he says something like that. And he's like, I'm sitting in the boat, and he says freaking good. And I was like, okay, it makes sense.
I could see his face right there.
Oh yeah.
Clayton
So,
wants
you know what? Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
So we were kind of talking about like weak techniques, right? And I'm not weak with a crankbait. I love throwing a crankbait. But one experience I've never had, I've caught a lot of fish on linear, but I'm always over there like in a window, right? We run that Gambler Free tournament. I'll go over, I'll throw a Prodigy, I'll throw a Kitech, I'll throw a Ned, throw a glide bait. It's always in that like April time span. When or like what context does that cranking bite set up on like linear and some of those
Late fall and winter's really
So there's
good.
two big cranking bites
Yeah.
that I've learned solely because of Ryan and Eddie Krauth out there. And my favorite one was the one I got on this past June to August.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah,
big
that's
deep
another.
cranking bite. And it's like throwing a big 8 or 10 XD. I was throwing a 6 cent C25 because it got down a little bit deeper. And throwing it in a bluegill color, because what happens is when they first push out to the piles, all the like little tiny bluegill are out there too, and they're munching those things. So it's burning it, like bombing it as far as you can on these shoals and the edges like of these brush piles and saddles, and then you're just burning the crap out of it, and then all of a sudden they'll just and like it's
and you're not hitting the bottom. Are you like you hit the bottom sometimes?
You are hitting the bottom, but then I figured out where you can also crank it through a brush pile. And so when they first get through to that brush, and you're just like, go, and it's like bouncing off. And then all of a sudden, like it's fun. And I'm still throwing it on 10 pound.
When was that? Because I remember you talked about that.
That was June. I got on that bite, and then I got on it through August. And then so I like went, like I had fished. I didn't fish that much this summer. So I went out in June, smashed them like 2 days, and then didn't fish again until like it was right at Labor Day weekend. It was on Labor Day, and I took my girlfriend out and went out, and we were just like messing around Labor Day, bouncing around, like not even fishing. And then I was like, let me go see. I had a tournament coming up that weekend, and I was like, let me just go see if this cranking bite still exists out there. Like it's 2 months later, and I pull up to the first pile and I catch a 4.5 pounder, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, well, let me go check this pile. I catch another 4.5. And I was like, oh my God, I had 22.5 pounds, like the next
Holy
5 points I
crap.
went. And I was like, oh my God, like it's Labor Day, boats bouncing around everywhere, middle of the day, like hot. And I was like, what is going on? And I went in that tournament. That's the one we fished for Ryan Sheffield. And I had Alex Purz with me, and I was like, all right, it's about to go down.
Oh, no.
I smashed him on Monday. Like, it's about to go down. I pull up to the first point, catch a 3.5 pounder. I was like, oh yeah, it's going down. And then I go to the next point and I break that. I get that crankbait hung up, and it was like the special crankbait. Like, so little backstory on that Labor Day. I was throwing an 8XD, and so I was throwing that 8XD and I get it hung up in a pile and I couldn't get it back out with the lure retriever, ended up breaking it off. So I go back to my crankbait box, open it up. And I was like, I told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, pick out a crankbait out of this box. And she picks the ugliest color C25 I've ever seen in my, like an ugly bluegill. Right. And I was like, okay. And I was like, whatever. Like I tied it on just because she picked it out. Right. And then I throw it, catch a 4.5 pounder on it like that. And I was like, okay. And so then that is the crankbait that I carried on through this. Well, in that tournament, I catch that 3.5 right off the bat, and then I get that thing hung up. Dude, I was spending 45 minutes. Poor Alex Purz is in the back trying to get this crankbait. I was like, I got to get
ready
the carry
to dive
crankbait
down with scuba gear, bro.
Yeah, and then I break it off, dude. I was so spun out the rest of the day. I tried to make it happen. I didn't catch another fish all day. Alex Purz caught one on a shaky head, and we weighed in 2 fish for 6 pounds on Lanier. And we were like, this sucks. Like
Mikey, he was crushing it though, because he would come into the shop for the show, and he was like, dude, I'm on that bite.
And I never say I'm on them because I'm never on them. And that was the one time I was like, okay, like guys,
like, that's not like, I think when Mikey's at, that's not the typical time frame that we talk about on Lake Lanier for a crankbait bite. You just found that, and you're rolling with it, and bluegill had a lot to do with it in the summertime.
And then there's like this weird like night, like a dusk bite.
Yeah, that's
really
starts
in like September, October.
Yeah,
it's like as soon as like the hour before it gets dark, you can go throw a 6XD or an 8XD on points and catch them, like points and shoals, throwing like a crankbait you should not be throwing in 5 foot of water.
Yeah.
Go throw it up there, and then it's just like go, like in the summertime. And that's a lot of fun. And then we get the rock crawler bite, starts up in like November, and then that rolls in through January, February, depends on how cold it stays. Yeah. So there's a lot of cranking you can do out there. Like,
I guess I'm just never there during the window. And,
yeah,
you're talking like shallow winter crankbait, like 6 to 10, 4 to 10 foot. That's super cool. That would be a blast, man.
Yeah. Like 2 weeks ago, we got to do that and got on that rock crawler bite. Like it was a blast. We were catching Ian caught a PB 5-1. Like,
if we get this rain and it gets cold, like you get a little stained water over there, it could get really fun, dude.
100%.
Now over there on Gunnersville, when you talk cranking, for us northern boys, you know, what are you laughing at?
I'm at Purz in the comments said Clint was so fired up that day that it fired me up, and then that fire got put out real quick. And
that's the way it happens. Anytime I tell anybody, hey, we're gonna wax their ass today.
Yeah, I learned my
lesson.
You're
not gonna get bit. Or something's gonna happen. I totally get it. But compare our cranking over here in North Georgia. We're talking about rock crawlers, shallow, and all that, to say maybe Gunnersville. What's cranking like on Gunnersville?
I mean, it's really comparable, man. I guess the one factor that you need to put in though is grass. You know, we'll crank grass too. So you get your ledge bite, you know, usually that's more early, like May, June, you know, but we're doing the same thing. We're blazing it, bulldozing it, however you want to describe it. And then there's some funky bites, you know, like throwing like a mag square bill, like that Strike King, you know, ticking the grass, you know, late summer, July, August. But then basically, you know, we hit these cold weather periods. This year hasn't been that good. Last year was pretty good. DT8 was absolutely epic. You know, it got a little bit deeper than that DT6. You're cranking rock, you're cranking. We have those like bars, you know, like those shoals, I guess, kind of like what you got, and then riprap and things along those lines. And then the weird one that's a little different probably from what you guys have is like a fritz side or a flat side, like square bill. And we'll actually crank where we throw a trap, you know, large grass flats, like breaks from ditches, but we're talking like 1 to 4 feet of water over the grass, in that gap. And then a lot of times we're ripping it, right? You're just kind of ticking it just like you would with a chatterbait or something. And that can be a lot of fun, man.
Okay, there you go. Well, I like you said similarities. Now, what about color? Because we get into the reds and the oranges in the wintertime. Same thing over there in Gunnersville.
Yeah, it's, I'll be honest, man, for me at least, the past 2 years have not been very good red years.
Okay.
Prior to that, red was fire. I try to mix it up. Like I take two different approaches. I either try to do like normal, like, oh, this looks like a shad, haha, or I try to be really, really weird about it. And one funky color that I've figured out on Gunnersville, and I have no idea why it works. I have theories, but gold, man. And it's such a classic thing down in Florida, the black and gold trap, things like that. I actually figured out like a gold trap. I throw a silent trap a lot, absolutely crushes it. And then there's this other weird bite we got into where we're actually throwing a Megabass 110 and in gold, in that like golden perch. And there's actually some perch, like those jumbo, like northern perch, right, on Gunnersville. Not a large population, but they're here. And I don't know if it mimics that or if there's something about the gold sheen in the water. But dude, gold is one of the most underrated, like flashy hardbait colors on Lake Gunnersville, man. 100%.
Okay, so there'll be a lot of baits sold out now. The gold colored baits on Tackle
I
Warehouse.
already got mine, bro.
Yeah, the
And
guys at Tackle Warehouse,
Champagne.
Jake and all the guys, yeah, they can thank me. Okay, I took my first trip with some of the guys to Gunnersville. It was not quite 2 years ago. Okay, North Georgia. Well, okay, we don't have no grass out here.
Yeah.
That was the most overwhelming thing that I have ever had a part of, was the amount of damn grass that's on Gunnersville, and how them guys, they fish it over the top and all that. But they tried to teach me that punching.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude, like that was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. I just assumed
You're talking to like the man of that too.
Yeah, I know,
bugs all around you, dude.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. Is like, now, granted, we only had one day because we were filming an episode of the TV show and all that. But I was sitting there thinking, like, this shit sucks. That's the way. But you guys make it look so damn good. How do you figure that out for a guy that doesn't do it a lot? What's the secret to at least getting bit?
I guess committing to it's important. And I'm thankful for this. There's a lot of things that like I'm not as good as a lot of these guys, like not even close, right? But the one thing that I do have a lot under my belt is reading grass. And, so coming from Florida, it's a very visual experience, right? So when you see something, it's not like, oh, these factors analyze and come to, right? It's like, you're like, dude, that looks right, and it becomes sort of this like guttural kind of understanding of like how the grass kind of merges, sets up, how it domes up, how it turns, whether it's isolated, whether it's like one of the good examples is like a lot of times, and I'm not like, Larry Dahlberg, there's 7 muskies in that puddle, right? But like, I know whether a mat is going to have one bite in it based on size and the way it's set up, or whether I can power pull down and sit on that mat and catch like 3 to 5 fish out of it, just based on the way it's set up and like the layout. And it's not something there's aspects you can explain, obviously the size of the mat, the way it's set up, but then there's like the way it's domed out. Does it have vertical along with that horizontal cover? Like there's these weird sort of like factors where you just you start to read it. And, we did it for so many years down in Florida that you just kind of have that feeling.
Like, that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say on this show, I read the grass.
Got to read the grass. Don't smoke the grass. Read the grass, boys.
Don't smoke the grass. Read the grass. That's very interesting because we look at all other different types of contours and, rocks and what they're doing, whether it goes hard clay to blah, 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 blah. And now you're basically doing the same thing with grass.
Well, that's what I love about Lanier, though. Before a lot of the forward facing came out, like I'm not like a hammer on Lanier by any means, but you know how you get on those lakes that like make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Like some lakes are like tough. You're like, man, I don't know what to do, and some lakes you get on them, you look at the Navionics map, you start looking at your graph a little bit and you're like, I think I know where to go. And Lanier has always been a place like that for me. Not granted, like guys like Ryan have helped me out. I'm really good buddies with Tim at Hammond's Fishing Center. He's always kind of thrown me a bone or been like, focus on mid lake, focus on the lower lake. But the way Lanier sets up and spotted bass, like having sort of
The
like
best.
an emotional or spiritual connection with spotted bass and understanding on how they like behave, bro,
Yeah.
you can really like read Lanier. And now with forward facing, you can kind of see that in action. But like those times, like I remember back like tight lining at Kitech, right? Like we didn't know they were there. You just had to kind of like visualize and imagine, and you're just kind of like slow rolling. You're like, now's the time to just stop for a second. Hold on. And then it's like, hold my beer, watch this. And you like lift and like, there she is. It's sort of Lanier has always been a real special and cool place because before we had the underwater cheater machine, like you could really visualize what was happening down there, you know, and like it made a lot of sense to me. I always got excited going over there. It was such a cool place, man.
It makes me think of watching Zaldane out there in 2019.
Yeah, dude.
Like that's what it
Yep.
makes me think
Drawing
of.
the little swim baits.
Yeah.
I like I said, the Church of the Spotted Bass, man. It's like a spiritual experience reading.
Bro,
Lanier
I'm
and all
telling
that.
you, like you
Best.
can get, if you connect with those jokers, you can catch them because they operate, they're kind of smallmouth, they're kind of largemouth, but they're neither, right? But if you can kind of dial in like how they feel and behave, like you can catch you a lot of fish because those jokers, like 80-90% of the time, they'll eat if you're doing it right.
Oh, they will. They will. They're just a pissed off fish. Speaking of which, smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass. What's your favorite?
Spotted.
Really?
Yeah, I love me some largemouth, but dude, there is nothing that makes me more giddy and grinny than catching spots. They're just fun. Yeah, like the ways that you catch them are super cool, and that might change. And granted, I've caught a lot of largemouth in the grass and that. So the new thing for me, really, in moving to Alabama, I've been here I think 7 years. It's still kind of new, like doing the spotted bass thing, and it's just cool. And like the way they behave, like once again, like going back before forward facing, like just imagining these fish are just like they're there and then they're there and then they're in a foot of water, then they're in 30 feet. They're so dynamic. It was just really cool to kind of understand them and play around with them.
Yeah, I think that's what forward facing sonar has shown us is how much spots move, where they're at. Kind of like somebody said of the, I think it was on lunch break, microscope. Your forward,
Yeah.
it's a tool, but it's like a microscope that you actually can look down and see what the boogers are doing and just how fast they're moving and
Yep.
everything like that. So, Kevin, you're listening to all this, being a Florida guy, and he's talking about coming from there, the grass, reading the grass and all that. Did you have the same experiences, reading grass and things like that? And then how did that translate to you coming up north?
Pretty much the same as what he was saying, but I always look for two types of grass as well. Reeds mixed in with some type of Kissimmee grass, or if you had a hydrilla, looking for heel grass close to it.
Yep.
So I was always looking for at least two types of grass. And then you had your little cuts running through, little canal pieces that you would fish and throw up in there.
Holes
I
and
used,
junctures.
yeah, I used to fish a weed wing a lot. Remember, I've talked to y'all about that before on podcast.
Yeah. Well,
Keep that above that grass, and it was nice.
So when you say you got two different types of grass, this is just for somebody that I'm totally inexperienced with grass. And Mikey, you can chime in on this as well. Is that basically almost kind of like where you go from, I'm thinking of hard structure, rock to clay, something like that, just two different
100%.
types of grass? Is
Yeah.
that how you need to read it?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. I learned something right there.
The wild card with grass, though, and I mean, I've said it a million times in the videos, and this is probably the most important thing is isolated, right? The concept of isolated cover, like the more alone it is, the better option it is, whether that's like one stalk of a pad, right? Or like an isolated piece of cane. That's usually more of like a spawning thing in Florida. But when it comes to these mats, especially when they're just coming up or even after they've grown up, if they're alone, like if it's one dome and then there's like a big flat of grass, they're going to be in the dome, dude. You're going to catch some in the big flat, but the dome is the point of reference. That's like the highlight, right? So that concept of an isolated piece of cover, it's like, with docks, right? You got a line of 50 docks. You can go fish them. You'll catch 3 fish. You got one dock in the back of a pocket and there's nothing else around until you go 3 pockets down. You might not catch a bunch, but you're going to catch a great freaking big one on that one dock, if you can get them to bite. So
Especially on Okeechobee, those isolated grass patches.
yeah, isolated round reed heads, stuff like that. It was,
When you're punching or whatever, you're attacking these mats, what do you like to throw in them?
I like flipping. One of the new school things that a lot of guys are doing, they're using like popping frogs and things like that. They're working around the grass, especially in Florida. I've always been a guy who's kind of enjoys flipping. So I'm flipping anything from really a half ounce all the way up to, we go up to even a 2 ounce, but usually it's up to like 1.75. When you start getting into those like 2 ounce, 2.25, yeah, you might get through, but the amount of fish that you actually lose because that weight ends up bonking the hook out is pretty bad. So just a big weight, a snelled hook. I've been playing around with these trocar hooks that have this little like V bend in them. I don't even know what they're called, but it grabs the bait a little bit better, and 80-pound braid and getting after it, dude.
Okay, I like it. Listen, I told the guys, like, that was the worst experience I've ever had in my life, just the amount of grass. But at least, like, you're making it seem pretty damn interesting.
Well, I mean, it's slide over. I'll take you out, but it is like the glide bait fishing of, big weight fishing. Like you gotta grind, and you gotta kind of like go through the process, and then you hit little pockets of them and stuff. And then there's some sneaky stuff, right? Like suspending the bait under the mat, like thinking of it as this open quadrant, and you're kind of dangling the bait. Do they want it pumped up and down, like slowly? Do they want it suspended, just hanging there, and then you drop it a little bit and bring it? Some guys like to shake the bait a little bit. There's just like anything else, there's little nuances and little tricks, and you got to kind of go through your arsenal and try them and see what you get a response to, and then repeat.
It definitely takes putting that time into it too. Like when I learned the grass fishing stuff, it was back in 2021 when I was working for Black Rifle, and we were going to all the Elite Series events. And like I remember we started, it was like Chickamauga, and like we were fishing. I was fishing with Paul Bork, like in between these tournaments or their off days or whatever. And he was teaching me like how to look at grass and listen for the popping and figure out what's an active mat and all that stuff. And like I was finally getting the motion of flipping and figuring that stuff out, catching a couple 2-pounders on Chick. And then we went to Gunnersville, caught a couple 4-pounders doing that. And I was like, this is cool. And like you start getting that flow. Then we went to Texas, and we were flipping these 12-foot deep hydrilla mats. Yeah. And then like I remember Paul had to take a call. And so he's sitting in the driver's seat of the boat, take on this meeting call. And so I finally get to take over the trolling motor. This whole time I've been flipping off the back deck. And I finally like take over the trolling motor, and I remember like reading, and I was like, ooh, that's a cool little pocket of grass. And he's just back there talking, hanging out or whatever. And I feel that dunk, and I watch my line just, and I would set the hook. And I remember being like, it's a big one. And he's like on a meeting. So I'm trying to like be quiet, and it's like, it comes up and jumps, and he's sitting there. And I remember his eyes got real big. He looked up at me. He like throws his phone down, and he goes and reaches over, and this big bucket comes up, and he grabs it with one hand. Or no, he still had his phone in his hand, and he grabs this fish, and he was like, he throws his phone down and grabs it with 2 hands in the mouth and pulls it in. It was my PB for a long time. It was 8.6. And that was like my biggest fish ever flipping. And I just learned how to flip like 2 months before, but like after putting in the reps, I was like, this is really cool.
That's
so like
cool.
You can definitely like learn it, but it's like, I went on a tour of like the best places you could go do this technique, just because that was where I was working throughout that time. And it was like such a cool experience for sure.
And now you're stuck in a podcast on a Thursday night, bro. You really gone downhill.
You know what? But I've met more cool people in this industry than I could ever dream of. Like if I look back 5 years ago, it's kind of cool. Like telling my story the other day, like looking back, like it's so crazy how much this industry has evolved and how much it's changed. But it's like also the people we've met along the way. Like I look at my contacts list sometimes, and it's crazy to know like this fishing industry, we're all bonded by these little green fish. And yeah, we don't want to be within 100 yards of each other until we're not able to fish. Then all we want to do is talk fishing with each other. Like that's what the cool part about this sport that brings us together.
Absolutely. So going off that, Mikey, what's of all the guys you've met in the business, who's the one that kind of, I won't say take your breath away, because that sounds a little, funny, but you know what I'm saying? The guy that you can't believe you get to talk to, or that you got to meet through fishing.
That's a good question, because to be honest with you, I kind of have a perspective like Clint, where like, it's like these guys are cool and they're famous, but like all of them are sort of like, I've never met Kevin Van Dam or any of these guys. Right. They're all like approachable. So it doesn't seem like really crazy, right? Like JT, it was like super cool to get on the boat, but then we're like literally jaw jacking each other, like talking all kinds of smack. So it's never seemed like some Hollywood, whatever. It's just a bunch of boys hanging out. So
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it makes perfect sense, and it's actually a damn good answer because it nails it. I've yet to find anybody that wasn't approachable. I know there's a few out there, I'm sure, but I haven't found anybody that was just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So you absolutely nailed that one. Somebody had a question. Oh yeah, here we go. Cranking and yanking. So is there a story that goes with the name Balzz?
oh, it's a terrible, stupid story. Yeah. So I'm a dumb kid. We were in an off period in high school, me and my degenerate friends, and we're sitting around and we're like, we should start a rap crew. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. Let's do
Like
it. So we're sitting around. We're like, well, what are we going to call our rap crew? And I'm like, I don't know. So one of them came up with like Squiggy Balls. So that was the name of our little white boy rap crew, right? So I'm like, okay, now we all need names. So we all come up with names. I don't remember what my buddy's names was, but like, I'm like, I'm going to be Mikey Balzz. Hell yeah. So we all got our names. Well, fast forward like 10 years or something, 8 years, the internet comes out. I'm like trying to get like an email address, and I'm like, Mike M, Mike 7945. Like, this is dumb. So I type in Mikey Balzz, and it's like, bing, that's available. I'm like, huh. So I start punching into like any internet service that I use, and it's like, bing, available. I'm like, cool. I just solved the internet. So it was one of those random kind of like stumbled into it, make your own word, find your own adventure kind of thing.
Like I did not have that he was a white rapper on my bingo card either.
Oh, and we were terrible too. Like it wasn't even like real. It was just a bunch of kids like dicking around, like talking stupid stuff.
Can you throw anything? Can you freestyle for us right here?
Literally, I have no musical talent whatsoever.
Hey, but there's somebody beside him who can.
No, sir.
Is Ryan a rapper too?
I'm too tired.
Too tired.
I
bet if we got a few drinks in Ryan, he would rap for us. Next time I'm with you, we'll see. I'll see if I can.
That's what we're gonna do. FG Knot and freestyle rapping video.
We won't
look
rap,
out.
I'll help you with the FG Knot. No more rapping.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know that you can be bought. There's enough drinks in there. We could get you rapping. Mikey, do you snell knot on your punch rigs? I believe you 100%. Said something like that. Yeah, I thought I heard that one. This episode has been every bit as good as I thought it would be, and it has been very good. Nice. Papa Pond Hopper, he said he tried to message me. I don't know why I can't get any new message requests. I mean, I don't owe you money or anything like that, so I would take it for sure. So, what is your Facebook, and I'll reach out to you because I want to make sure you get this prize. Here's a good question for you right here, Mikey. What led you to a nitro boat? I literally didn't consider one until I really started watching you. And just bought my Z20 last year. So you were an influence on this thing right there.
I think you got the impression already. Like, I'm kind of a blue collar cheap guy. Like, I'll be totally honest, right? And when I started looking at boats, I was obviously overwhelmed by price points, right? They're expensive, and they've only gotten more expensive. I did a video series where I think it was like finding the perfect bass boat or something like that. And all my buddies got boats, right? So I got in an Express, I got in a Phoenix, I got in a Skeeter, I got in all these different boats. And, everybody who owns a boat, it's their favorite boat, right? Or they want to own it. So I'm in these boats. These guys they're not selling me the boat, but they're telling me all the things they love about it. So I got a great sort of like, I don't know, experience of like what's cool about the boats. And since they're your buddies, they're honest with you too. They're like, the only thing I don't like is this. The only thing I don't like is this, but I love this and this. And I went through and I got in my buddy's nitro, and it was kind of at the latter end of things. And I really liked it. Like it laid out perfect. Like it's got a giant deck on it. And that's something I've always really liked because we're flipping, we're moving around. I'm trying to shoot video. It was simple. It didn't try to be something it wasn't. It was very intuitively laid out, very straightforward. It looked decent. The price point was definitely like lower than some of the other competitors, which allowed me a little more flexibility with all the overhead you have with electronics and that. I went down and hung out with the guys. There's a Cabela's, which is now his Bass Pro right here in Huntsville, and kind of chatted with them. And they were super cool. Like I liked them. We had a good rapport, and it just felt like it fit. So I didn't know if it was the right choice the first year I did it, but that's where I went. That's what my budget allowed. And that's what I kind of liked. And it wasn't a mistake, dude. I really like my nitro. It's not the perfect boat. There is no perfect boat. Like that's a bunch of crap. Don't let anybody tell you there is. but it allows me some margin to rig it out. I've been extremely happy with the way it sets up. I love the custom colors that you can do with it, and the price point, even though it has gone up, there's no doubt, is a little more palatable than some of the other brands, dude. That doesn't mean the other brands are bad. Like I really like the Falcons. JT had a Falcon for quite a few years. I really like, what was that other one? The Skeeter was super nice. I like the Express, like the tin boats. They were pretty cool, but I feel like if you're gonna go with a tin boat, you almost want to like do a tin, but like do your own mod kind of thing, like build a deck and like, deck it out. And I wanted something that was like turnkey ready in that. And I'll be honest too, the guys at Cabela's have, even when I had my Triton, they had saved me so many times because I work like normal. I work for myself, but like I'm working during the week. I get out, I got to execute, I got to shoot videos. They got me out of so many like snafus when like I got line in one of the hubs of my trailer. And I'm like, dude, I got to be somewhere in 3 days. Can you guys? And they would knock it out. They were super cool. And that relationship, even beyond the product, goes a long way for me. So the way they always treated me with taking care of me with the boat, that wasn't even their brand. They were always going out of their way to help me out. Like that meant a lot to me too, and kind of contributed to the decision as well.
I love it. That's a great answer. And it works for you. You like it. It works.
I love
you.
my boat, dude.
That's it. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? What's the most unlikely bait that ended up becoming one of your favorites? Something you slept on, but ended up loving later?
That's a good question. I think maybe the swim bait stuff, like the small swim bait thing, was something that I dabbled around with, like probably 2016 or 15 down in Florida, and never really got hooked on, and had a lot of northern guys when I was down south telling me, oh, you got to throw a Kitech, you got to try this. And when I finally moved to Alabama and started playing around with it, and this was before, forward facing really kind of was prevalent, and the tight lining concept, I really didn't recognize how valuable and how powerful of a player it was when it came to these winter fish and spotted bass and highland impoundments. And that's one that I really had to kind of like check myself and kind of relearn. And it actually made it even better because I'm like, dude, I got to really learn this. I got to get good at this because it's a really powerful tool.
Yeah, I got that. Now we're in January. It's been warm. Got some cold weather coming back in. So for the next, let's say, month, 2 weeks to a month, what are you going to be concentrating on? What do you think the bass are going to be doing, given that we should turn back cold?
I'm going to drive to Florida.
There you go, guys. I mean,
Hey.
yeah. Okay. Well, how about the hell, they'll be spawning down there, won't they?
They are. They already are spawning. What I'm doing up here. This has been a weird. I've been sucking. Like full disclosure, dude. The past couple of weeks, I don't know if you guys know, I had like a shoulder surgery thing. So like I'm not at 100%, and I've been kind of feeling it on the water because I'm not as good as these guys, but I am willing to like work harder because you got to make up for the gap, right? And I haven't been putting my time in as much as I should, because the best things that happened, at least to me in fishing, aren't like boat accidents, but they're like accidents on the water, right? Like, oops, I caught that one. What the hell was I doing? I need to do that again. And I haven't had that opportunity as much this year because I've been kind of behind the gun. But what I'm seeing on Gunnersville is a weird deal. And it's kind of like what happened this past summer. Normally we get a bunch of ledge fish in May. They're out deep. It's post spawn. It's awesome. Well, this past year, because of the amount of rain and current we had, they stayed shallow, bro. There was like half to even maybe 1/3 as many fish offshore as there were the prior years. And I'm seeing that kind of this year with winter over here. There are fish offshore in the ditches around stumps and things like that, but the number of them that are out there is less. So you can catch them throwing a minnow, you can catch them throwing a rig, doing some of that deep stuff that we do, but there's less of them, and there's more guys trying to catch them because everybody's getting, their live scope and stuff. So they're getting beat on. I have seen more fish on Gunnersville turn away from a minnow that I know are bass than ever. And that includes spotted bass. And normally you can always catch those spots. And I'm seeing a lot more spots actually turn away from baits out there, which is kind of surprising. So that's happening. But then also these fish have moved up. I caught fish. I was on Gunnersville 2 days ago. I no bull, dude. I caught fish in 1.5 foot of water, like on a flat too, not like next to a deep, like on a flat, dude. I went down a line of docks and caught them on a chatterbait mini, dude. Caught like a 3, a couple 2-pounders and red eyes and the whole deal. those fish, in my opinion, they're not going back out deep. Now they might push out to like 4, 5, 6 foot of water, but they're not going back out to those winter haunts. That boat has sailed. So you're going to see a lot more shallow fish. So your chatterbaits, maybe your traps if it does get cold. But the other thing I'm finding too is the trap bite hasn't been as good as it's been in the past few years, and that's once again a cold thing. So I think you're going to see them catch them a lot more on swim jigs. Like your kind of early spring presentations that include some soft plastics, a little less of a reliance on hard baits. So swim jigs, maybe a swimming worm, things along those lines. But those fish, they're not going back deep. A lot of them.
It'd be very interesting, Clint, with the Pro Series and all that coming over there to see if what he just said plays out when they get there.
For
Well,
sure.
that 2 inches of rain ain't gonna hurt either, dude, because they're gonna have to catch them shallow because it's gonna blow out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Jeremiah wants to know if you had to pick one place to go catch a double-digit largemouth, where do you go? Florida, Texas, Tennessee River?
Just because I know I could do it, I'd go to Central Florida.
What would you be throwing?
Not gonna like it probably a minnow.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Texas is the place gets them, said he would think, but I guess because Florida you're more comfortable with. I mean, the lakes down there.
I know where I literally know where I could go and almost be.
I know lately a lot of guys have been catching them on gizzard chat. Like the gizzard chat have been active in Texas right now. Like these guys are catching them on glides, like the Clutch Boss and some like big gizzard glides are catching them right now in Texas. I think the gizzards are pulling up right.
The only problem is Texas is its own country, bro. Once you move
is
there, you ain't leaving, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I thought about moving there from Florida, but like I do a lot of work in Florida and stuff, and just being able to like go places. Once you're down there, like you're down there, bro.
Yeah.
So you when you're not doing content, you said you have another job. What do you do?
So I'm basically like a marketing consultant. So a lot of it relates to some of the content stuff, but like social media management, like email marketing, just a bunch of like web oriented stuff.
Cool.
Okay, I like that.
Is it in the industry or outside the industry?
Both.
Nice.
All right, so good. Now we got a contact. We need somebody to do some of that stuff.
Holler at me. I want money, baby. Come on.
I need some help. We'll give you this one last question right here before we let you go for tonight right here. Clayton wants to go, what's your favorite bait when you're fishing deep, say 30 to 40 feet? And this on top of that, now you're from Florida. Now, deep in Florida, I've always teased Kevin all that. You guys get over like 7 foot in Florida, and that's deep to you guys.
7's freaking deep. Well, Kissimmee chain, it's a little bit deeper, but like on Okeechobee, 7 foot is like, man, that's way down there, bro. Get out of the deep drop rig.
So you had to make some adjustments too when you came up here and started fishing these deep lakes. But what's your favorite?
So the sneaky part in Florida is there's a lot of deep, clear lakes down there up the central strip, dude. Like we talked about Winter Haven chain, Butler chains.
I used to love to go there. That's where I went.
They're very clear.
There's and they're you know what's crazy is they're like green clear, right? They're kind of linearish, kind of like TVA, green stain, but there's actually a lot of opportunities. They're just much flatter, right? But they're deep, dude.
I like that. Well, what bait would you be using?
What's my favorite bait to use when I'm fishing 30 to 40? I sound like a broken record, but like I like that Prodigy, like a little small swim bait and just slow ticking it down there. I've been playing around with. I've gotten this funky bite with a Rapala jigging wrap lately.
Yeah.
And dude, I've been having a blast.
Clint's smiling up there on that one.
Yeah. I've been throwing that since I was throwing it in like 100 foot of water on Fontana with 2D. Back in college, like it was a lot of fun.
I want to like totally screw things up, but I want to throw something in there. So I've been thinking about like with all these rules on forward facing, like in the end, competitors, dude, you bend the rules without breaking them, right? Like it's all about pushing the limit to try to like get the most value out of what you're doing. And I almost feel like going into this year, I got on a really good jigging wrap bite on Gunnersville, and I'm actually going to drop a video about this on Sunday. But I think you're going to see some of these pro guys start to hedge the 2D again, because it's not because it shows so much. It's because it shows enough and they already know with forward facing what's happening. I was like drawing fish in on an A rig and I get them where there'd be like 4 or 5. You'd catch one. They'd all come and sit under the boat. And dude, you can see
That's
them
where
on
the
TV.
jig and wrap is deadly.
Bro.
Is like when I'm shaking a minnow and they don't eat it, I'll drop a jig and wrap down. Like that's
Like, I
deadly.
think you're gonna see, especially on the Elite Series, you're gonna see these guys doing some of this stuff, like dropping the drop shot straight down with like a minnow style bait, like doing little like vertical drop things and hedging that 2D, because it's still good, dude. And we know what they're doing after looking at the, you know, the front looker, all that, dude. Like, we know how they're set up. So all you need is to know kind of they're there and you can execute. So I don't know, a little quick hit.
It's exciting.
You know what? I would love to get him on Latham.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You should.
Latham it's right across the street from my house. It's a 340 acre electric only reservoir, but it's got largemouth, it's got spots, it's really deep, it's got blueback herring in it. If it had rock, it would be a mini Lake Lanier.
Really?
Oh, 100%. But I could imagine, I'd like to just put him on there, Clint, and just say, okay, I'm gonna sit in the back of the boat. Just go do your shit and just see and watch him figure that lake out with all these little different techniques and all that.
I'm a doodler, man. And that's why I think I like catching spots, because you can doodle up some spots and some big spots, man. Just like twinking around, like, like, it pays, dude.
Absolutely. I think it'd be great. Well,
I've got one more before we wrap it up.
Go
Where
ahead.
do you think content is going? Like, it's a new year. We're looking forward at 2026. Like, where is content going? Like, we've seen all the real short form, long form. People are looking for value. They're looking for real. Like, they want to see real person, real value. Like, where is it going from here to in the future? Like, where do you think content's going in the fishing industry?
So the wild card is going to be AI, right? We're seeing all this AI generated content. It seems like Facebook and Instagram, even though they say they're trying to focus on original content, the way they changed the algorithm back at the beginning of October does not favor original content. And I think they're tweaking it a little, but in the process of them making those changes, I don't know what your Instagram feed looks like, but mine's a bunch of AI videos, or it's like a picture with text over it. And it's like some like clickbaity crap, right? That's generated off an image. And then they throw some ChatGPT AI crap on it. That's going to be something that's going to have an impact. The one interesting thing that I've seen, we talked about the death of the fishing video, right? It's not popular anymore. There does seem to be a push to get back to sort of more like authentic and credible content, just kind of like raw stuff. The kids are getting really good at it, dude. They just turn on their phone and they're hanging out with their girlfriend and something funny happens. And they can't, like, that kind of raw stuff, I think, is making a reappearance, because that's what we started with, right? Uncut, just really direct stuff. And then the one thing I've noticed too is the concept of a transaction, right? We're all looking to take something away. Like, we only have X amount of time. We're investing our time in watching content. What do we get out of it? And I think it's really important from a content creation standpoint to offer your viewers or even your buddy. Like, I kind of look at my audience as like my friends. Like, I talk to these guys via direct messaging and that. Like, you have to offer something of value, right? Like, it's and it doesn't have to be like the sneakiest tip ever, the sneaker egg, but like, you got to give somebody something to get something. So offering different perspectives on things, offering different tips, offering something that's learning valuable, right? I really look at that interaction between the viewer and content as a transactional occurrence, especially on YouTube, where they need to draw some kind of value from what you're offering. And I think that's good, right? It's sort of like the capitalist version of content, right? Like, you better bring something to the table. Otherwise, you're just going to get swept aside. And I think there's going to be more of a focus on that moving forward.
I love it. That's a great answer. And 100%, I agree 100% with everything he just said. Just from personal, just what I like to watch and everything, especially going back to the authentic stuff like that. If people want to follow you that don't, I don't know why in the hell you wouldn't be following them already, but if they don't, where can they find all your stuff at?
I just type my rap name into Google, Mikey. Yeah, right. MikeyBalzz at the end. I don't even know how to spell it, but type it in. I'll pop up on Google, man. And yeah, give me a follow, dude. You might not like everything I have to say, but you might get something out of it from time to time, occasionally.
I think it's very enjoyable. So, Mikey, listen, appreciate you joining us. That is a hell of a conversation. We probably could sit and talk with you for another 6 hours. I know we got stuff to do, but it first time I've got to talk to you, and I thought you and Clint were friends, and Clint goes, I've never met him. But it's like, I didn't know that, but it's kind of like very easy to talk to. It's almost like we've been talking to somebody for the last 20 years. So appreciate you joining us tonight and all that. Don't tell too many people, Ryan, though, especially in this part of the world. You don't want to drop that too much.
Like the guy with the mustache.
The guy with the mustache.
I had a guy at work. He's like, hey, one of your pro fishing guys, he's coming up on my feed, and like this guy just started fishing, and I was like, oh, who is it? He's like, the guy with the mustache. I'm like thinking, Chris Daldane. I was thinking of like Seth Fighter. I was like, no. And he's like, shows me the ad, and it's Ryan, and I was like, that's Ryan.
Yeah, it's Ryan. That's awesome. But listen, seriously though, Mikey, thank you. I hope you can come back again. We didn't run you off like that. Later on down, we can pick your brain.
Dude, I would love to. I appreciate the opportunity. It's so funny. Clint kind of nailed it. Like these green fish make us all buddies, dude. Like we can come from so many different places, and we get on here and we can bullshit all night. So it's kind of nice.
And listen, and then one day we'll do like an adult swim where we'll let you say all the big words.
Oh, you don't want to do that, dude. Well, yeah, I don't think they cancel people anymore, but we can bring canceling back, dude.
Hey, listen, if anybody's gonna get canceled, it would be us right there. So Kevin, Clint, Ryan, appreciate you guys joining us. Well, Mikey, thank you very much. And all you guys over there in the comment section, look, I tell you, every episode, you guys make the show. Without you guys, there's no sense in us doing that. So thank you for coming out. If you're going fishing this weekend, we know the weather's coming in. We tell you this every time. Be safe. Go have fun. Enjoy yourself. If you want to go get wet, do all that crap, just be safe, because we would really feel like shit if we didn't get to see you next week. So you guys enjoy yourself. That's the end of the show. We will